A heavy boot descends menacingly towards a fallen young man's head as someone shouts his name. The armored man scoffs dismissively, remarking on how easily his subordinate trips and falls. His companions mockingly order him to collect the magic stone, threatening death for any mistakes. On the ground, the youth clenches his fist in the dirt, his face twisted in silent rage. He grits his teeth, recalling that before becoming a lowly F rank, he was an ordinary student. In a flashback, he stands on a city street staring in shock at a colossal, dark structure. In November 2014, massive pillars of light erupted across Japan, irrevocably changing his world. While riding his scooter, he muses that videos of the strange lights, now called dungeons, are online. He parks his scooter and heads up the stairs to his apartment, carrying a grocery bag. Entering his apartment, he takes off his shoes and reaches for the television remote. He turns on the TV, his back to the viewer, ready to settle in for the evening. On the screen, the Prime Minister explains that dungeons have spread where meteorites fell. He continues, warning that strange monsters emerge from them and will overflow if they multiply. A reporter in the crowd urgently asks the Prime Minister for information about new weapons. The Prime Minister confirms that some soldiers can now use magic, which is effective against monsters. The young man watches, his eyes widening with interest at the mention of magic in dungeons. Despite the grave news, a part of him feels a secret thrill at the world's drastic change. Another reporter scoffs, asking if this talk of magic and monsters is just a CG trick. The Prime Minister's expression hardens as he insists that this is all reality, not a trick. He explains that military and police forces alone cannot handle the increasing monster threat. With grim finality, he prepares to make a major announcement to the nation. He declares a national mobilization, a decision made without public debate, shocking the populace. On his phone, the young man watches the broadcast continue with a new national obligation. He repeats the new mandate in disbelief: collect 7 magic stones a week or face punishment. Tossing his phone aside, he sits on his bed, overwhelmed by the sudden new reality. The Prime Minister announces that all people can now view their personal status screens. A holographic screen materializes, and the young man hesitantly reaches out to touch it. His status is revealed: Nakamura Takashi, age 20, with pathetically low stats across the board. He stares at his abysmal HP and non-existent MP, questioning what these numbers even mean. He looks at his hands in despair, realizing that no matter what, he'll remain weak. In this new world, people are ranked from F to S based on their status values. Unfortunately for him, he was assigned the lowest possible rank, F rank, a source of shame. The D rank adventurer grabs his hair, sneering that he can't even fulfill his quota alone. Nakamura bows his head in humiliation, enduring the abuse from his superior. A flashback shows that the two were once friends and classmates in high school. Now their world has become a brutal, status supremacist society where power is everything. An adventuring party ventures into a dungeon, their leader eager to finish and go drinking. Suddenly, a party member's face contorts in terror at the sight of an approaching beast. A monstrous, multi-eyed Argos appears, a B-rank monster far too strong for their E-rank dungeon. The party leader and his companion freeze, shocked by the appearance of the powerful creature. The leader bravely declares he will use magic to distract the beast so they can escape. He unleashes a swirling ball of magical energy directly at the monster. The spell explodes against the Argos's face, but has absolutely no effect. The party leader's eyes widen in alarm as he realizes his magic is useless. The other adventurers cry out in panic, realizing magic doesn't work on the creature. The blonde adventurer grabs Nakamura's backpack, his intentions cruel and clear. He violently shoves Nakamura forward, telling him to at least be useful as a decoy. Nakamura stumbles, thrown directly into the path of the towering monster. His face is a mask of pure shock and betrayal at his companion's cowardly act. He stands alone and helpless before the colossal, club-wielding Argos. The monster's massive eye focuses on him as he stumbles backward in terror. He falls to the ground, his mind reeling with confusion and fear. The Argos bares its sharp teeth, ready to deliver the final crushing blow. As the club descends, he despairs, thinking his life is over after just a few decades. He resigns himself to his fate, his eyes closing as he accepts the end. Just as the club is about to connect, a brilliant light envelops the monster. Nakamura shields his eyes, utterly shocked by the sudden blinding flash. A beautiful woman's voice echoes in his mind, offering him a chance, but at a price. The Argos is obliterated in a massive explosion, its body and eyes blown apart. A few mysterious scraps of paper flutter down from the blast. Dazed but alive, he sits up, holding a strange black card, a massive magic stone nearby. He examines the black card, wondering what this strange paper-like object could be. He recognizes the large crystal as the Argos's magic stone, a valuable prize. He carefully places the magic stone and the mysterious card into his pouch. His former party members emerge, shocked to find him still alive after they abandoned him. The blonde adventurer grabs him, accusing him of hiding his true strength from them. He gets in Nakamura's face, angrily demanding to know what he did in the dungeon. The rest of the hostile party surrounds him, certain he has committed a punishable crime. To de-escalate, he offers them a magic stone as a reward for their help in his escape. He presents the small, glowing magic stone as a peace offering. Later, he stands before a city hall building, home to the Average Adjustment Division. A sign clearly marks the division responsible for monster subjugation support. He waits in a queue before his number is called to an official counter. He apologizes for being late and presents his magic stones for the weekly quota. The clerk, Sarashina Mika, confirms receipt of the F-rank magic stones and prepares his certificate. She hands him the completed certificate, marking his duty fulfilled for the week. He returns to his simple apartment building, climbing the stairs to his home. Back in his room, he examines the valuable Argos magic stone he kept for himself. He knows it will sell for a high price, providing a safety net for his quota. Lying on his bed, his attention is drawn to the mysterious black card. He ponders the card, knowing that monsters aren't supposed to drop anything but magic stones. As his finger touches the intricate sigil on the card, it begins to glow. A holographic screen appears, asking if he wants to acquire the Isekai transfer skill. He lets out a small gasp of shock at the unbelievable prompt. His shock deepens into utter disbelief at the impossible offer. He sits up holding the card, stunned by the prospect of an Isekai transfer. His first instinct is to refuse, certain that someone as weak as him would die instantly. Before he can press no, the prompt changes, asking if he's sure he wants to give up a unique skill. He stares at the screen, bewildered by the term unique skill. The memory of the woman's voice offering him a chance flashes through his mind. He recalls his near-death experience, questioning if he is doomed to remain weak forever. He realizes that if he is being offered a chance, it must come at a price. With newfound resolve, he decides to accept the offer, whatever the cost. A chime sounds as a screen confirms he has been granted the language conversion skill. He mentally summons his status window to see what has changed. Another chime sounds as the detailed status screen appears before him. His stats are unchanged. He realizes this is no cheat power-up and he is still weak. He finds himself in a new world, Istia, understanding he can travel freely between worlds. A wave of relief washes over him. At least he isn't trapped here forever. His comforting thought is cut short as a gelatinous monster suddenly appears and lunges at him. A young man in a tracksuit is thrown violently into a field of tall grass. He looks up in surprise at a large gelatinous creature appearing before him. Now on the ground, he wonders what this unfamiliar monster could possibly be. The slime monster lunges, pinning him to the ground as he lets out a startled cry. He gasps for air as the creature's semi-translucent body begins to envelop his head. His hands sink uselessly into the slime's body as he desperately struggles to breathe. As his vision darkens, he despairs at his own continued weakness in this world. A fierce battle cry announces the sudden arrival of a female warrior in ornate armor. Freed from the suffocating slime, he collapses onto his back, reaching weakly upwards. Dazed and confused, he looks up and wonders aloud if he has been saved. His savior, silhouetted against the bright sun, asks with concern if he is all right. Sitting up, he thanks her profusely as she kindly helps him to his feet. She gives him a curious look, asking where he came from in such strange clothes. He looks down at his tracksuit, realizing it looks like pajamas or old school gear. Flustered, he claims to be from far away, his memory hazy from the ordeal. With a reassuring smile, she introduces herself as the adventurer, Arya. As they walk together, he lets slip that his name is Takashi and he's a student. He clamps a hand over his mouth, realizing he's broken his amnesia cover story. He awkwardly tries to backtrack, apologizing for giving the wrong impression. Arya smiles knowingly, cryptically stating that not just his clothes have changed. Takashi looks utterly confused by her strange, insightful comment. She nonchalantly notes her own strength, having defeated the weak slime in one hit. A city guard announces their arrival as they approach a massive, reinforced gate. A panoramic view reveals the magnificent, sprawling European-style city of Roermel. Takashi and Arya walk through the bustling streets, amazed by the incredible sights. He points in wonder at the beastmen, exclaiming, "It's like a real fantasy world." He asks Arya to teach him about being an adventurer in this strange new world. Inside a shop, she explains she's only level 10, a fledgling adventurer herself. As Takashi summons his status, she explains he can check it anytime he wishes. She clarifies that only those with the appraisal skill can see another status. Outside, she cheerfully points out the large Adventurers Guild building. The guild is a lively tavern where adventurers take on quests and gather. Arya greets the grizzled, one-eyed wolfman guild master, Reuben, at the counter. Raban confirms her quest completion and rewards her with 5,000 gold. She happily collects her earnings, pleased with the reward for her hard work. Takashi's eyes widen as he spots a familiar magic stone fall from the pouch. Arya explains it's from a level 5 jumping bunny, a much stronger monster. He notes that he needs 1,000 experience points to reach the next level. He asks Arya if he's strong enough to defeat a slime monster by himself. With a look of determination, he asks her to help him hunt slimes. Arya playfully summons a slime illusion, making him jump back in fright. Her expression turns serious as she asks if he has any money for gear. He reveals the massive, glowing Argos magic stone, asking if it can be sold. Reban snatches the stone, shocked it's a drop from a level 60+ monster. Takashi stammers, trying to explain his amnesia as Arya looks on, concerned. Reban dismisses the strangeness of the situation and agrees to help them out. He holds up a blank guild card, offering to register Takashi as an adventurer. Reban presents a huge sack of money, announcing the stone is worth 500,000 gold. Takashi and Arya are both completely stunned by the massive sum of money. Now fully equipped in new armor and a sword, Takashi declares his intent to hunt slimes. The newly equipped pair stands on a grassy hill, ready for their first hunt. Arya spots a lone slime in the distance, pointing it out to Takashi. The unsuspecting slime wobbles peacefully in the tall grass, unaware of them. Arya puts a finger to her lips, signaling for him to be quiet as he approaches. Takashi cautiously moves towards the creature, his new sword held at the ready. He brings his sword down in a powerful, decisive strike on the helpless slime. With a ferocious cry, he puts all his strength into the single, clean attack. The slime is cleanly sliced in two as Arya cheers his triumphant success. Arya clenches her fists in excitement, exclaiming happily that he did it. The defeated slime's body begins to dissolve into shimmering particles of light. A single glowing F-rank magic stone is left behind on the rocky ground. A system notification confirms he gained 100 EXP and a magic stone for the kill. Filled with a new fire, he moves on to his next target without hesitation. He becomes a whirlwind of motion, hunting down slime after slime with fervor. He relentlessly cuts through a field of the weak monsters, one after another. His face is a mask of intense concentration as he continues the focused hunt. Panting, he finally stops, his armor spattered with the residue of his kills. He counts his haul of 11 magic stones, each rewarding 100 experience points. A system message suddenly appears, announcing that he has officially leveled up. His eyes widen in utter shock and disbelief at the unexpected notification. He stares at the status screen as Arya calls out his name in concern. She looks at him worriedly, asking what's wrong and if he is okay. Tears of joy stream down his face as he whispers that he's reached level 2. His status screen confirms the level up, with all his stats increased by 1. Arya comfortingly pats his head, noting she's never seen anyone so emotional. Later, she asks if it was his first time defeating a monster, and he confirms it. She is incredulous, explaining that slimes normally give only 1 experience point. Takashi confirms he received 100 experience points, which completely shocks Arya. She argues with him, insisting the value should be 1, not 100. She realizes he must have a special skill that grants a 100x experience cheat. He questions how such a weak person like him could have a cheat ability. He reflects that his lack of understanding makes him an anomaly in this world. He turns to Arya and asks her to keep his cheat ability a secret from others. He explains that he doesn't want to get involved in trouble due to his amnesia. With a playful and knowing smile, Arya agrees to his request for a price. A skeletal jumping bunny leaps towards them as Takashi shouts a warning to Arya. With grim determination, Takashi prepares to face the oncoming monster. Arya draws her bow, loosing an arrow at the creature with practiced ease. Her arrow strikes true, wounding the ferocious bunny in midair. The wounded but enraged creature ignores the arrow and lunges directly at Takashi. His eyes widen as he prepares to defend himself against the fierce attack. The bunny's sharp claws screech against his sword as he desperately parries the blow. He holds his blade steady, locked in a fierce struggle against the monster. The strain shows on his face as he struggles against the creature's surprising strength. He cries out that a level 5 jumping rabbit is too much for him to handle. From the sidelines, Arya shouts encouragement, telling him he can do it. A memory of past humiliation fuels his resolve to fight even harder. He screams that he will never be a mere baggage carrier ever again. With a powerful roar, he declares he will level up and become strong in this world. As the monster dissolves into light, Arya cheers that he has done it. A system message confirms the defeat of the jumping bunny, rewarding Takashi with experience and loot. His companion Arya expresses her amazement that he acquired rabbit meat on his very first try. She notes the incredibly low drop rate for the item before asking about the experience points he gained. Takashi, with a slightly flustered look, reveals that he received a surprising 300 experience points. Putting a hand to her head, Arya realizes the cheat-like nature of his abilities, as the monster normally yields only 3 EXP. Standing atop a rocky outcrop, she suggests they take advantage of their momentum and hunt all the bunnies in the area. Drawing her bow, Arya's keen eyes spot another target hiding in the shadow of a distant tree. The two adventurers proceed to hunt 15 jumping bunnies, acquiring an equal number of meat portions. A dynamic shot shows Takashi in the heat of battle as his haul of F-rank magic stones reaches 26. Ascending a long flight of stone stairs, Arya praises his rapid progress to level 4 on his first day. A status screen materializes, displaying Takashi Nakamura's new level 4 stats, all increased by 3 points. He asks Arya about her archery, and she confirms that she possesses the archery skill. With a hopeful expression, he wonders if he too could learn the archery skill through practice. Arya explains that skills are usually innate, but his unique nature might allow him to learn one. As they continue their climb, she remarks on his extraordinary 100% drop rate for rabbit meat. She calls out his name, wanting to discuss something more important with him now. With a shy blush, she asks if he will continue to be her adventuring partner from now on. He is taken aback, questioning her decision since he is still a mere level 4 adventurer. She confidently reassures him that at his pace he will quickly surpass her level and that she's counting on him. Overjoyed by her faith in him, Takashi enthusiastically agrees, stating he would be honored. Arya's face lights up with a radiant, happy blush as she whispers a triumphant, "I did it!" A wooden sign for the Adventurers Guild, adorned with a shield and crossed swords, marks their destination. Inside the lively guild, the new partners celebrate with a hearty toast, clinking their mugs of ale together. Takashi happily savors the roasted rabbit meat, comparing its delicious taste to chicken from his world. While enjoying her own portion, Arya curiously asks what white rice is, a food she has never heard of. Their pleasant meal is interrupted by a smug, two-toned haired adventurer, Kais, greeting his beloved Arya. Kais attempts to invite Arya for a drink, but she curtly tells him to leave her alone. A close-up reveals Kais forcefully grabbing Arya's arm, refusing to take no for an answer. Glaring at him, Arya insists she has already refused and demands that he release her immediately. Takashi steps in to defend her, telling Kais to let go since she clearly wants him to. Enraged, Kais whirls on Takashi, shouting at the small fry to stay out of their business. Onlookers at a nearby table comment that Kais's infamous bad temper is flaring up again. Kais arrogantly boasts that he is level 41, the strongest adventurer in town, and claims Arya is his. Takashi shouts back defiantly, pointing out that it is obvious Arya can't stand him. In a fit of pure rage, Kais violently shatters the wooden mug he is holding. Arya's face is cast in shadow, her expression one of cold fury as she clutches a shard of her own broken mug. Another adventurer tries to de-escalate, telling Kais that Arya is simply being shy. With a sneer, Kais remarks that her angry face is cute in its own way. He turns and walks away from the tense scene with a dismissive laugh. The other adventurers quickly placate the fuming Kais, inviting him to drink with them. A large, friendly beastman apologizes to Arya, telling her to simply ignore the man's behavior. Takashi asks who the man was, and Arya dismisses him as just a troublesome pervert. She tells Takashi not to worry about it, suggesting they should leave now. Outside on the street, Arya notes that it is getting late and offers to guide him to an inn. They arrive at a large, sturdy-looking building with a sign that reads the Brawling Giant Inn. A burly man in an apron, the innkeeper Mateo, warmly welcomes Arya back. Arya introduces Takashi as her new partner and asks Mateo if there is a room available for them. She specifies that they would like to rent a room for about a month. Takashi quickly interrupts her, a look of surprise on his face. He explains that he must return for a university lecture tomorrow, so he only needs a room for one night. The innkeeper Mateo laughs, teasing Arya for getting ahead of herself with her plans. Arya argues that since they'll be adventuring together for a while, they should secure a room now. Takashi firmly insists that for now, he just needs lodging for tonight. In a simple but clean room, Arya tells Takashi to ask her if he has any questions. She suggests they have dinner downstairs after he rests and peeks back at him from the doorway with a smile. The door closes with a definitive click, leaving Takashi alone in the quiet room. Utterly exhausted, he collapses onto the bed, wondering if it's truly okay to get so involved in this other world. He lies on his back, staring up at the ceiling, lost in his thoughts. A system prompt suddenly materializes before him, asking if he wants to return to Earth. Sitting up, he realizes he can go back, but worries that if he leaves, Arya will disappear from his life. Having made his decision, he takes out a pen and ink to write a farewell note. He leaves a note for Arya, apologizing for his sudden departure and leaving his earnings as a gift. Lying back down, fully geared, he wonders if he can truly return home with his spoils. He reaches out a finger and firmly selects yes on the prompt to go back to Earth. A vertical wipe transition signals the beginning of his transfer between worlds. His finger hovers over the yes button as he wonders what will happen next. The piercing beep of a digital alarm clock, displaying 7:18 a.m., shatters the silence. He wakes up in his messy room, still in his adventurer's gear, realizing he must have fallen asleep. Sitting up, he looks around with a sense of relief, confirming he has successfully returned to his own world. He checks his gear, surprised to find that his short sword and armor have come back with him. Emptying his pouch, he realizes he can use the magic stones from Istify to meet his weekly quota. He quickly gets on his scooter, deciding to hurry and check in before his university lecture. A sign for the Balance Adjustment Division marks his official destination. He apologetically places a single, smooth F-rank magic stone on the counter for submission. A woman with glasses, Zena, greets him, noting that he's early and asking if he was in a dungeon. He gives a vague, non-committal reply, saying something to that effect. Zena picks up the magic stone, inspecting it carefully and asking him to wait a moment. Takashi waits anxiously, his heart pounding nervously as she examines the stone. She confirms receipt of the single F-rank magic stone, and Takashi breathes a quiet sigh of relief. Zena wryly reminds him that as a university student, he can't afford to slack off on his duties. He meekly agrees with a flustered smile, promising that he will try his best. Later, in a lecture hall, he reflects that with his quota met, he can finally relax for a while. A simple greeting of "yo" from a deep voice suddenly interrupts his thoughts. A large muscular man in a camouflage t-shirt, Yamada, approaches his desk. Takashi looks up at his classmate with a nervous, slightly sweaty expression. Yamada explains that as the party's tank, he did Takashi a favor by carrying his luggage. He then informs Takashi that their party has a dungeon run scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Kamikawa dungeon. Takashi's face falls as he remembers the 25 magic stones he already possesses. He tries to decline, explaining that he has a lecture to attend in the afternoon. Yamada grabs him violently, shouting that if he doesn't come, no one will carry their luggage. He furiously demands to know how a pathetic F-rank like him managed to acquire a magic stone. Takashi quietly accepts his fate, understanding that he has no real choice in the matter. He knows that if he avoids dungeons and just submits stones, he will be branded as useless by others. Yamada's intense, suspicious glare reinforces the idea that his refusal would not go over well. With a look of utter resignation, Takashi's face is cast in shadow as he submits. He agrees to go, and Yamada drags him away as a crowd of party members looks on. At the dungeon entrance, the party is geared up, with Yamada, a D-rank leader, rallying his E-rank team. Another adventurer tosses Takashi more gear, sarcastically thanking him for the blessing of his recent level up. Yamada and a blonde female adventurer turn to lead the party into the dark cavern. A look of surprise crosses Takashi's face as he notices his pack feels a little lighter than before. Deep in a cavern, an adventurer faces a monstrous insectoid creature, a huge ant. The party's F-rank porter, Nakamura, watches nervously from the rear, filled with apprehension. A blonde warrior and another adventurer begin the assault, striking the E-rank monster. More members of the party join the fray, their spears piercing the creature's exoskeleton. Defeated, the huge ant dissolves, leaving behind a single small magic stone on the ground. The party leader, Yamada, picks up the stone, annoyed that it's only F-rank. He roughly shoves another bag onto Nakamura's back, warning him not to drop it. Yamada raises his massive sword, rallying his party to hunt down the rest of the monsters. The adventurers efficiently slaughter a horde of lizard-like creatures in a blur of violence. His face splattered with monster blood, Yamada eagerly calls for the next wave of enemies. After 3 hours of fighting, the party rests as Nakamura gathers their loot of magic stones. A few small rocks ominously clatter down from the cavern ceiling above the group. Nakamura looks up with a start, his face a mask of surprise and confusion. A colossal, monstrous silhouette emerges from the darkness, towering over the adventurers. Nakamura's eyes widen in terror as he screams a desperate, belated warning of danger. A massive, sharp claw erupts from the shadows, impaling one of his comrades. The full creature, a terrifyingly large fire ant, is revealed in all its menace. Yamada and another adventurer are shocked, questioning why a C-rank monster is here. The party leader curses his own carelessness, having been focused on the weaker monsters. Frozen in terror, Nakamura feels that facing such a powerful creature is impossible. The party's blonde mage reacts quickly, conjuring a magic circle for a powerful attack. She unleashes a brilliant beam of light that strikes the fire ant's head directly. The attack proves useless as the monster seizes the helpless mage in its jaws. Yamada charges forward in a desperate attempt to save his companion from the beast. He jams his sword between the creature's mandibles, straining with all his might. The mage cries out Yamada's name as he realizes his defensive skills have reached their limit. The fire ant's sharp leg impales Yamada, a spray of blood erupting from the fatal wound. The mage's eye reflects the horror of the moment just before she is crushed. Nakamura watches, hand over his mouth, shocked that their highest-ranked member is gone. He stands alone amidst the carnage, realizing his entire party of 8 has been annihilated. Clutching his face in terror, he feels he's done for and desperately wants to live. The monster takes a heavy step towards him, its massive foot kicking up dust. The fire ant's glowing, slitted eye focuses on its last remaining prey. The ground shatters as the creature prepares to strike the lone, terrified survivor. A desperate thought of escape, a last sliver of hope, flashes through Nakamura's mind. A system prompt appears, offering him a transfer to another world, Istifia. He is thrown through a vortex of light, tumbling uncontrollably as the world dissolves. He lands with a hard thud on the wooden floor of a quiet inn-room. Lying on his back, he looks up, dazed and disoriented, wondering if he was saved. Peeking out the window of the sleeping giant inn, he realizes he made it to Istifia. He stands in the room, noticing the gear of his fallen comrades is also there. He stares at the massive sword and shield of his former leader, unsure what to do. He understands that his transferability requires him to have a specific destination in mind. A new system prompt appears, asking him if he wants to return to Earth. He raises his hand, his expression determined as he prepares to make his selection. A soft musical chime sounds as he makes his choice on the interface. His finger presses the yes option on the dark, glowing screen. His eye widens in shock as the world around him changes in a flash. He finds himself back in the cavern, facing the charging fire ant once more. His face is a mask of pure horror as he realizes the transfer returned him here. The monster's attack sends him flying, his body scraping hard against the rocky ground. The creature looms over him, its massive mandibles closing in for the killing blow. Mid-fall, he desperately summons the Isekai transfer skill one more time. He screams in terror as the monster lunges, just as the transfer begins to activate. His foot is shown, having landed hard on the floor of the inn-room again. He is sent tumbling through the air, screaming as he crashes back into the other world. He lands in a heap on the wooden floor, the impact knocking the wind out of him. Lying upside down, he pants heavily, his eyes wide with the terror of his ordeal. He collapses, realizing with dread that he will always be returned to where he left. He understands that since time flows the same in both worlds, the monster will always be waiting. The image of the massacre reinforces the thought that he cannot escape that dungeon. A sudden loud knock at the door startles him from his despair. The door bursts open and a muscular figure enters, startling the terrified Takashi. The newcomers are Arya and the mustached innkeeper, Mateo, calling out Takashi's name. Arya's face is filled with genuine concern, telling him not to go quiet so suddenly. She rushes to his side, noticing with alarm that he is trembling uncontrollably. She gently places a hand on his shoulder, asking him what happened to him. The trauma overwhelms him, and he begins to sob, recounting the fire ant attack. A flashback shows the monster's gruesome maw as he explains it killed everyone. A vivid memory of his comrades being impaled flashes through his tormented mind. He buries his face in his hands, choked with grief and abject terror. Arya gently holds his head, trying to comfort him as he weeps inconsolably. She pulls him into a full, comforting embrace, letting him cry on her shoulder. Later, after he has calmed down, she asks if he is okay, and he quietly thanks her. The mustached innkeeper, Mateo, asks him where he was attacked by the fire ant. Takashi wrestles with the dilemma of whether he should tell them about the isekai transfer. Arya advises against it, understanding that it would be impossible to explain properly. He agrees, vowing internally that he must defeat the fire ant or have no future. Mateo grimly notes that a level 50 fire ant is no opponent for a rookie adventurer. Takashi asks Mateo if he has ever successfully defeated a fire ant before. Mateo confirms he has, explaining that magic is the best weapon against its tough hide. Takashi's expression hardens as he focuses on the words, wind attribute magic. He and Arya stand before Helen's shop, a place where they might acquire magic. Inside, Takashi explains that one must buy expensive magic books to learn spells. Arya greets Helen, the shopkeeper, while Takashi mutters about finding a magic book. Takashi's attention is suddenly caught by something outside the window. His hand reaches towards the glass as he spots a figure on a distant tower. A mysterious cloaked person stands impossibly on the very tip of a thin spire. Arya looks out the window but sees nothing, questioning what he saw. He points, insisting someone is on the tower, but Arya remains confused. An old witch, Helen, appears from the shop's interior, greeting Arya cheerfully. Arya dismisses the sight as strange, confirming to him that no one is there. She cheerfully explains to the witch that they have come to look at magic books. Helen offers them a foul-smelling pickled radish, which they recoil from in disgust. Arya firmly refuses the offer, while the pickled radish itself seems to scream in protest. Helen notes that a magic book would be useless for Arya, who cannot use magic. Takashi formally introduces himself as a level 4 adventurer with a bit of MP. Helen lectures them on the 4 basic magical attributes and their relationships. She presents him with a wind attribute magic book, and he asks her for the price. With a sly grin, Helen offers him an outrageously inflated friendship price of 800,000 G. Takashi cries out in shock at the outrageous price of 800,000 gold. With a slight blush, Arya begins to explain a long story she has. The witch Helen informs Takashi his current level is too low to use the magic. A mysterious figure in ornate armor remarks that their conversation is interesting. The sudden appearance of the stranger startles Takashi, Arya, and Helen. On a wooden balcony, Arya confronts the cloaked figure, demanding to know who they are. Takashi recognizes the stranger as the person he saw on the tower spire earlier. The cloaked figure states Takashi's goal to defeat the fire ant and offers him a scroll. Takashi asks what the item is, and the figure explains it's a single-use wind magic scroll. Arya angrily intervenes, telling the stranger to stop soliciting in Helen's shop. She continues her tirade, calling the stranger suspicious and demanding they leave. The figure calmly states they don't want money, but want to see his status instead. Takashi is taken aback, questioning why the stranger wants to see his status. Arya furiously declares the request to see a stranger's status is absurd. She turns to Helen, demanding she throw the suspicious person out of the shop. Helen is startled by Arya's outburst, her eyes wide with surprise. The cloaked figure snaps their fingers with a sharp crack, casting a spell. Arya, behind Helen, is utterly shocked by the stranger's audacity. The stranger reassures Takashi that Arya is simply sleeping and will awaken soon. Takashi lunges forward, catching Arya as she collapses unconscious, calling her name. Kneeling with Arya, Takashi asks the stranger what they have done. He angrily demands to know who they are and why they've done this. The figure extends a hand, expressing their desire to speak with him alone. Takashi is confused as the stranger takes his hand, the world dissolving around them. A motion blur indicates their sudden teleportation from the shop. They reappear in a dark, dense forest, the stranger still holding his hand. The stranger explains they have teleported to the woods outside Roermel using magic. Their piercing gaze is fixed on him as they repeat their request to see his status. Takashi notes that viewing another's status requires the appraisal skill. The stranger dismisses his concern and offers the scroll as compensation. An image of a fire ant flashes as the scroll is presented as the only solution. Resigned, Takashi agrees and presents his status plate for the stranger to see. The stranger's eyes widen slightly behind their mask, having found what they were looking for. Takashi asks what they found, but the stranger cryptically says it's their business. With a simple farewell, the stranger begins to vanish in a swirl of wind. Takashi is left alone in the menacing forest, startled by their abrupt departure. He calls out in shock and confusion, his hair whipped up by the wind. Standing alone, he worries about what to do if a monster appears, as he is unarmed. He clutches the scroll, realizing it's his only hope of escaping this place. He holds the scroll, its wax seal prominent, ready to use it. Reading the inscription, he realizes with shock it's a world transfer scroll, but resolves to use it. He is thrown into a chaotic vortex, tumbling violently through space. He crashes hard onto a rocky landscape, crying out in pain from the rough landing. Pushing himself up, he realizes he fell from a cliff after the teleportation. He begins to climb, wondering if the fire ant is somewhere above him. Reaching the top, he is greeted by a foul stench and the sight of dead adventurers. His eyes widen as he sees a massive, living fire ant in the distance. He cautiously approaches the creature, noting that it's in the middle of a meal. Fire Ant's head snaps up, its massive eye fixing directly on him. With grim determination, he unseals the scroll, demanding the creature look at him. He channels his will, summoning a powerful wind magic circle. Surrounded by glowing runes, he prepares to unleash the spell's full power. He braces himself, planting his feet firmly on the rocky ground. A powerful gust of wind magic erupts from his outstretched hand. He reflects on his past habit of running away from his own weakness. The swirling vortex of wind magic slams into the monstrous fire ant. He grits his teeth, vowing not to escape this time. He must defeat the monster here. He shouts that he cannot move forward unless he wins this fight. He pushes his hand forward, intensifying the destructive power of the spell. Sharp blades of wind slice through the air, tearing into the ant's tough armor. The creature's exoskeleton cracks and shatters under the relentless magical assault. In a final explosive burst, the fire ant's entire body is obliterated. Takashi stands amidst the falling debris, shocked by the power he just unleashed. A system notification pops into his vision, confirming his victory. He has defeated the fire ant, gaining immense EXP and a C-rank magic stone. A flood of level-up notifications fills the air, accompanied by triumphant chimes. Standing on the battlefield, he stares at the notifications floating before him. Lying on the cavern floor, he weakly summons his status screen. His status shows he is now level 41, with all stats boosted by plus 40. He glances at the dropped magic stone and the notification cards. He marvels that his stats have surged to a level comparable to D-rank. He recalls a similar black card from his encounter with a monster called Argos. Sitting in his room, he remembers the moment he received the power. A prompt on his phone had asked if he wanted to acquire the falsification skill. The skill's description explained it could rewrite his displayed status. He had accepted the skill, knowing it would allow him to deceive others. He immediately began manipulating the settings to hide his true power. He decided to display a pathetic F rank, level 1 status to everyone. Back in the dungeon, he wonders if he can escape safely. His expression is somber as he stands alone amidst the massacre of his former party. He realizes with a start that he has no way to contact the outside world. He frantically checks his pockets, realizing his phone is gone. He knows deaths in a dungeon must be reported to the Balance Adjustment Division. He briefly considers going back for his phone, but dismisses the idea as too risky. He flees the scene of the massacre, running through a forested part of the dungeon. He pushes himself forward, deciding escape is his only priority now. The ground erupts in front of him, blocking his path. A monstrous E-rank huge ant lunges out, its mandibles clicking. He clenches his fist, his face a mask of determined concentration. Though unarmed, he wonders if his new status is enough to defeat it. He meets the charging monster head-on, throwing a single powerful punch. The impact is explosive, shattering the creature's tough exoskeleton. He stares at his own fist, stunned by the raw power he just unleashed. A wide, triumphant grin spreads across his face as he celebrates his victory. He emerges from the swirling, dark portal that serves as the dungeon's exit. Standing on a roadside, he exclaims that he made it out of the dungeon alive. He notes that the Balance Adjustment Division has already cordoned off the area. Exhausted, he decides to go home and rest, putting the investigation out of his mind. He places his hard-won magic stone into his helmet for safekeeping. He drives off on his scooter, utterly spent from the day's ordeal. Looking back with a pensive expression, the young man Nakamura remains silent. He rides his scooter away from the ominous, swirling portal of Kamikawa Second Dungeon. An overhead view shows the winding road leading away from the remote dungeon area. A sleek sports car recklessly speeds past his small scooter, kicking up dust. He mentally notes the car's dangerous speed, wondering about the driver's urgency. A fleeting thought worries him that the driver might be an acquaintance of Yamada's party. Arriving at his apartment building, he decides to deal with his worries tomorrow. His only immediate desire is to get inside and collapse into his futon. In bed, he plans to get new equipment before venturing through the forest tomorrow. He is fast asleep, completely exhausted from the harrowing events of the day. His rest is violently shattered by the insistent, loud ringing of his doorbell. He groggily pulls the covers over his head, annoyed by the early morning disturbance. Reluctantly, he gets up and shuffles to the door to answer the summons. A stern man in a trench coat introduces himself as Yomo from the Balance Adjustment Division. Nakamura is utterly shocked to learn the man is from the official division. Yomo confirms that he knows Nakamura was inside the Kamikawa Second Dungeon yesterday. With a somber expression, Nakamura quietly confirms that he was indeed there. Yomo formally requests that Nakamura accompany him to the city hall for questioning. In a sterile office, Yomo asks Nakamura to recount what happened in the dungeon. Nakamura begins his story, stating he was invited by Yamada as a simple luggage carrier. Yomo listens silently, his expression sharp and deeply analytical. Nakamura explains he had to alter the story, as no one would believe the truth. Yomo summarizes Nakamura's fabricated tale of fleeing in terror without his phone. He reveals that a witness saw Nakamura leaving the dungeon late at night, around 11 p.m. Yomo states the bodies were recovered with an estimated time of death after 6 p.m. Nakamura listens, his face showing the immense strain of the intense interrogation. Yomo questions why Nakamura was in the dungeon for 5 hours after the massacre. Nakamura stammers that he was panicked, hiding and getting lost in the chaos. The investigator points out that neither the fire ant nor his luggage were found. Yomo reveals his investigation uncovered that Nakamura was being bullied by Yamada's party. He questions why a C-rank fire ant would appear in a low-level E-rank dungeon. Nakamura desperately asks if Yomo is accusing him, a mere F-rank, of murdering the party. Yomo coldly suggests that some people possess skills to conceal their true status. An official with a severe expression requests a reappraisal of Nakamura's status. Strapped into an intimidating machine, Nakamura realizes he's suspected of using a status falsification skill. He panics, terrified the machine will expose his secret otherworld transfer skill. As the test begins, he considers confessing everything before it's too late. A light on the machine indicates the test is in progress. The official returns as the test concludes, telling Nakamura he's finished. He and his colleague review the long sheet of printed results. The data streams out from the inspection device with a mechanical whir. Both officials stare at the results, their faces contorted in utter shock and disbelief. The lead official's expression shifts to one of gleeful relief as he apologizes profusely. He explains that since there are no inconsistencies, he can't even file a proper report. Thanking him for his cooperation, the official offers to drive Nakamura home. Later, a train speeds along the tracks, carrying a lone passenger. Riding the train, Nakamura is relieved that his secret falsification skill went undetected. Back in his room, he slurps instant noodles, reflecting that he's used to being mocked for his status. Seeing that the day is still young, he resolves to head to the other world, Istia. Now in his armor, he prepares for the journey, thinking he might not make it out of the forest by nightfall. His preparations are interrupted by a loud, violent banging on his apartment door. Startled, he wonders if the balance adjustment division has somehow returned. The door is kicked open by a furious blonde man who demands to know why Nakamura is ignoring him. He recognizes the intruder as Sato, a former high school friend. Sato angrily brandishes his phone, accusing Nakamura of turning his off to avoid him. Flustered, Nakamura tries to explain that he lost his phone the previous day. Sato mockingly gestures at his armor, sarcastically calling him Mr. Adventurer. He sneeringly accuses Nakamura of buying the gear with money from the Argos monster. He then tells Nakamura not to take the armor off, as he'll be needing it today. Sato informs him that they will be going to the Sasayama 5th dungeon that afternoon. When Nakamura protests, Sato cruelly blames him for not having a phone to receive the message. Called by a derogatory nickname, Nakamura understands he is now just Sato's porter. The scene shifts to the entrance of the N-City Sasayama 5th dungeon, a D-rank facility. Arriving on his scooter, he is pointed out by another adventurer as the day's luggage carrier. He looks on in dismay, his own plans for the day completely ruined. A woman in high-heeled adventuring boots approaches him from behind, getting his attention. A graceful woman in ornate armor introduces herself as Sekiya Shiori, a C-rank healer. Her powerful stance is emphasized, showing her armored legs and heeled boots. A young man, Takashi, nervously identifies himself as a lowly F-rank adventurer. With a gentle hand extended, Sekiya asks if he will carry her luggage. She offers a kind smile to the stunned Takashi, who questions her request. He remains frozen in disbelief, wondering why she would ask him for help. A blonde man, Satu, aggressively pulls Sekiya away, telling her to ignore the F-rank. With a cruel sneer, Satu mockingly tells Takashi to attach a bell to himself. Takashi's expression darkens as he realizes the cruel intention behind this public scene. Surrounded by the jeering party, he understands this was a setup to humiliate him. Sekiya looks on, her face shadowed with clear disapproval of the bullying. Inside the dungeon, an adventurer spots a D-rank earth lizard monster charging them. Satu confidently leaps forward, telling the others to leave the creature to him. In a single brutal slash, he decapitates the lizard, its dark blood spraying. He strikes a triumphant pose, smugly declaring that the fight is already over. One of his cronies tells Sekiya, who has turned away, not to look. From the back, Takashi observes Satu's obvious attempts to impress the healer. He silently questions the character of a man who would court a woman in a dungeon. Deeper inside, an adventurer suggests turning back, having collected enough magic stones. Satu dismisses the idea, boasting that they still have plenty of time to continue. A low, guttural sound echoes as a pair of glowing eyes appears in the darkness. More menacing eyes ignite in the shadowy alcoves surrounding the party. The number of threats multiplies, filling the dark chamber with glowing eyes. Satu's confidence shatters as he stammers, asking what that terrifying sound is. Monstrous, lizard-like creatures begin to emerge from every opening around them. Panic grips Satu, and he screams at everyone to scatter immediately. The party finds their escape route blocked by two massive, snarling earth lizards. More monsters pour into the chamber, completely surrounding the small group of adventurers. They are hopelessly outnumbered, trapped by the horde of creatures in the ruins. The grim odds are laid out. A single lizard is as strong as 6 D-ranks. The battle erupts into chaos as the adventurers fight the overwhelming numbers. The mustached party leader barks orders, trying to prevent a total collapse. Satu screams that their only priority is to protect the healer at all costs. A hooded figure is brutally struck by a massive limb, letting out a pained grunt. The healer Sikia screams for Sato as a monstrous earth lizard lunges toward her. Nakamura, seeing the imminent danger, thinks to himself that the situation is perilous. With a cry to watch out, he shoves his companion out of the monster's path. The lizard's powerful attack slams directly into Nakamura's overstuffed backpack. He is sent flying by the force of the blow, crashing hard onto the stone floor. Sikia rushes to his side, announcing she will heal him as he groans in pain. She begins to chant a healing spell, her hands forming a magical sign. Lying on the ground, Nakamura insists she should run, but she worries about his low HP. He reflects internally that a normal F-rank adventurer would have been killed instantly. Sikia looks at him, bewildered by his resilience, as the lizard glares nearby. The earth lizard's eye gleams with malice as it prepares to strike again. With a roar, the creature charges, its sharp claws poised for a fatal blow. In a flash, Nakamura grabs Sikia, dodging the attack just in time. The monster's powerful claws shatter the stone floor where they just were. They look back, having narrowly escaped the attack in the nick of time. The weakened ground gives way beneath them, and they fall with comical shock. Nakamura lets out a terrified scream as he and Sikia plummet into the darkness. They have fallen into a deep, dark pit littered with the debris of the collapse. At the bottom, Nakamura asks a groaning Sikia if she is all right. He realizes with a blush that he has cushioned her fall with his own body. A blushing Sikia confirms she's fine and asks about his own condition. He admits that while she seems fine, he is hurting all over. Sikia notes his F-rank status, wondering how his HP could have possibly held up. He explains with a bashful expression that his bulky backpack acted as a cushion. Patting his gear, he suddenly realizes something important is missing. He looks up the sheer walls, noting that a fall from this height should be fatal. He jokes nervously that his cheap armor proved to be surprisingly durable. With tears in her eyes, Sikia asks if he's secretly using a concealment skill. Her unexpected question catches Nakamura completely by surprise. Before he can answer, Sikia falters, grabbing her head as dizziness overcomes her. She manages to thank him weakly before her condition worsens. He rushes to support her, asking if she's all right as she becomes unsteady. She explains that she feels hot and dizzy, sweat beading on her forehead. Touching his own head, he realizes the intense heat is from a geothermal pocket. He spots his backpack, knowing it contains water but is now out of reach. He concludes that climbing the pit is impossible. Their only hope is to wait for rescue. Sikia's breathing becomes shallow and ragged as she succumbs to the heat. She finally collapses and he rushes to her side, desperately calling her name. In a panic, he begins digging at the ground, hoping to find a wellspring. He realizes she's suffering from severe dehydration and needs water immediately. His desperate digging proves fruitless, finding only dry dirt and rock. A throbbing ache starts in his own head as the oppressive heat affects him too. A sudden desperate idea sparks in his mind. He activates his unique skill, initiating an isekai transfer. In a flash, he appears in a sun-dappled forest, enjoying the cool, fresh air. He smiles with relief, revitalized by the gentle breeze of the new world. His moment of peace is short-lived as he remembers his urgent mission. A bird flutters by as he focuses his senses, listening for any helpful sound. His ears pick up the faint, promising sound of running water. Identifying the source, he sprints off into the woods in its direction. He arrives at a crystal-clear stream, exclaiming with relief that he's found it. He cups the cool, life-giving water in his hands. He drinks deeply, remarking on how delicious the fresh water tastes. He plunges his head into the stream, completely revitalizing himself. After quenching his thirst, he wonders how he can transport the water back. He stands up, pulling a piece of his gear from its straps. He examines a metal dish, deciding it will serve as a makeshift container. He vigorously washes the dish in the running water of the stream. Holding the now full dish, he prepares to transfer back to the other world. He reappears in the pit, holding the bowl of water over the unconscious Sekiya. He notes the stifling heat, feeling the urgency of the situation. Cradling Sekiya's head, he gently brings the bowl of water to her lips. He carefully pours a small trickle of the precious water into her mouth. She sputters and coughs but manages to swallow some of the liquid. Her breathing remains shallow and he knows more must be done. He realizes that to treat her heat stroke, he must lower her body temperature. Apologizing under his breath, he declares it an emergency and reaches for her armor. Sekiya lies unconscious in her delicate lace underwear, her armor now removed. As he works, his mind flashes to his world transfer ability. He stands over her, holding the bowl of water, preparing to administer aid. He soaks a cloth and begins to gently wipe down her chest to cool her. He averts his gaze, muttering to himself that he will try not to look. He continues his ministrations, carefully dabbing the cool cloth on her lower abdomen. She lets out a pained moan, still lost in her fever dream. In the dim light of the pit, he continues to care for her. He is startled by a noise from above and calls out, asking if anyone is there. A voice replies from the opening, and he looks up with a glimmer of hope. A rope ladder clatters down the side of the deep pit. Outside the dungeon, paramedics carefully load the unconscious Sekiya onto a stretcher. Satu grabs Nakamura by the collar, furiously accusing him of setting the trap. He angrily recalls that Nakamura was the sole survivor of a previous incident. Nakamura shoves him away, denying the accusation and blaming Satu for abandoning Kashiwagi. Satu points a finger, declaring that Nakamura will be his porter for life. A slick-haired man intervenes, asking if it's Nakamura's fault that Kashiwagi is dead. The man recalls how Satu had once used him as a decoy against an Argos. The memory of being sacrificed flashes through his mind, his expression hardening. Satu, enraged, grabs Nakamura again, demanding to know why an F-rank is defying him. An official claps his hands loudly, breaking up the escalating argument. The official announces to both Nakamura and Satu that the investigation results are in. Satu frantically insists there was no trap and demands they investigate again. The official leans in close, his predatory gaze fixed on Nakamura. He states that carelessness in a dungeon is a leader's failure. He wonders aloud how Kashiwagi, who was more experienced, could have died. The official's eyes narrow as he says he finds this situation very interesting. Nakamura begins to sweat under the intense scrutiny, unable to respond. The official instructs him to recount the events as the party's leader. He turns to Nakamura, ready to begin the formal line of questioning. He asks how they both managed to survive a 10-meter fall unharmed. Nakamura recalls Sekiya healing him, but knows he cannot mention that. The official presses on, asking where the water he gave Sekiya came from. A young man frantically explains to a stern official that an object simply vanished. The official's expression is skeptical as he remarks on the strangeness of the situation. Overwhelmed with relief after the intense questioning, the young man's face is hidden in shadow. Dismissing him for now, the official promises to be in touch if he needs more information. The young man clutches his chest, letting out a huge sigh as the official walks away. Glancing back, the official's sharp, suspicious look reveals he does not believe the story. Alone on the roadside, the young man watches the official's car depart into the distance. He expresses concern for Sekiya, but resolves to retrieve his luggage from an inn tomorrow. The next morning, from his apartment, he prepares to transfer to the other world. Now in fantasy armor, he stands by a rushing stream in a dense, unfamiliar forest. He recalls a mysterious woman telling him that the city of Roermel should be nearby. Deciding on a course of action, he begins to follow the river downstream to find the city. His eyes widen in alarm as he senses an imminent threat lurking in the shadows. Surrounded by monstrous beasts, he stands his ground on a large boulder, sword drawn. A pack of snarling wild dogs leaps at him from all sides in a vicious, coordinated attack. With a determined cry, he identifies the monstrous canines and prepares to fight back. A strange clarity descends upon him, allowing him to perceive the dogs' movements perfectly. He marvels at his newfound ability to see every detail of their attacks with ease. With a swift and precise counter, he dispatches one of the attacking beasts. He moves with fluid grace, effortlessly weaving through the pack and striking down another dog. His powerful, decisive fist connects squarely with another of the monstrous creatures. He stands alone amidst the dust, the entire pack of monsters now slain around him. A system notification confirms his victory, and he notes his newfound ease in battle. Believing he can now reach the city of Rourmel quickly, he continues his journey. A massive, bald man with a goatee suddenly grabs him from behind, hoisting him up. The burly man stands guard outside a fortified building, the Rampaging Giant's Inn. Inside, one of the bandits callously suggests that they should just kill the intruder. A group of rough-looking bandits speculates that he has come to pay a ransom. The leader violently grabs him, demanding to know his connection to their elf captive. The bandits decide he's useless and agree that it's better to just kill him. The leader orders his men to throw the young man into the cell with the elf. He is unceremoniously tossed into a dark, cold cell by the group of thugs. As his eyes adjust, he is shocked to see a female figure kneeling inside. A beautiful elf girl with a heavy iron collar stares back with vacant, hopeless eyes. A chaotic memory of a rock slide flashes through his mind, triggered by his confinement. In the memory, he screams in terror as a man named Kashiwagi sneers from above. The malicious Kashiwagi appears to cause the collapse, telling them to stay put. He remembers shielding Sekia as the ground gave way beneath them during the fall. The rock slide continues, plunging them both into a deep, dark, inescapable chasm. He recalls holding Sekia close to protect her from the falling debris. Trapped in the darkness, he realizes with horror that they are completely confined. Desperate for a light source in the pitch black, an idea suddenly sparks in his mind. He activates his skill, preparing to transfer back to his own world to get a tool. He materializes back in his modern apartment building, his mission clear. Still in his armor, he frantically searches his closet for a specific item. His search is successful as he triumphantly finds a flashlight among his things. Returning to the cell, he illuminates the darkness, startling the captive elf girl. The elf looks up, her eyes wide with surprise as he asks if she is injured. He looks down at her, his expression filled with concern for her well-being. The elf girl silently points to the heavy iron collar fastened around her neck. He wonders if the collar is the reason she has been unable to speak. He asks her if she can understand his words despite her enforced silence. Gently, he asks if she would like him to remove the restrictive collar for her. The elf girl nods her head slowly and deliberately in response to his offer. He realizes with a start that his weapons have been confiscated by the bandits. Holding up a hand, he tells her to wait for just a moment while he gets a tool. He drops the flashlight with a clatter as he prepares to teleport once again. The elf girl watches him vanish, her expression a mix of shock and confusion. Her hands reach out hesitantly towards the strange, light-emitting object on the floor. She cautiously picks up the flashlight, a look of wonder on her face. She holds the impossible device, examining it with a dawning curiosity. Pointing it at the wall, she is startled by the powerful beam of light it produces. Her eye widens in surprise at the magical object's incredible power. Takashi returns holding a small bag, his mission to free her now possible. The elf girl looks up at him, her expression filled with renewed hope. He gently embraces her, apologizing for leaving her alone in the dark. He presents a specialized wire saw, explaining it will cut through the collar. With great care, he begins to saw through the thick metal of her shackle. The tool grinds against the iron, slowly but surely cutting through the restrictive band. The collar finally snaps, falling to the floor with a loud metallic clang of freedom. Her face alight with joy, she touches her free neck and thanks him profusely. She explains that the collar had been sealing both her words and her hidden power. Takashi is shocked to learn that she possesses some kind of incredible ability. She puts a finger to her lips, asking him to keep what happens next a secret. With his agreement secured, she declares it is now time for them to escape. A massive, glowing magic circle materializes behind her as she channels her power. She chants in an ancient, melodic tongue, her hands weaving through the air. The entire chamber trembles and the ceiling begins to crumble and collapse. Takashi looks up in alarm as massive rocks begin to rain down upon them. She raises a single hand and the falling debris is caught in a telekinetic wave. The massive stones are frozen in midair, orbiting her in a silent, graceful arc. The immense power of her spell is on full, breathtaking display. Takashi can only stare, utterly dumbfounded by her incredible abilities. She turns to him with a wink, silently confirming it's their little secret. She tells him it's time to leave as smoke billows from the dungeon exit. He urges them to hurry as they flee through the burning alleyway outside. As they run, he asks for her name, introducing himself as Takashi. She smiles brightly, telling him her name is Nomi as she takes his hand. A torch is held aloft as bandits prepare to ambush them from a rooftop. The bandits identify Takashi as a guild scout and decide to kill them both. Hiding around a corner, the pair spots the group of approaching thugs. Takashi's eyes narrow as he realizes they are being ambushed by the bandits. A bandit yanks his backpack from his shoulders, claiming his luggage as loot. Enraged, Takashi clenches his fist and prepares to fight back for his property. He is violently tripped and pulled to the ground by a bandit's rope. The bandit looks on with a comically surprised expression at Takashi's defiance. Standing his ground, Takashi declares he's taking his property back from them. The bandit leader is shocked, wondering how the boy got free so quickly. The bandits decide it's too much trouble to let him live and move to attack. Takashi moves with blinding speed, dodging a downward sword strike from one of the thugs. With intense concentration, Takashi parries a powerful downward sword strike from a bandit. He fluidly dodges another bandit's wild swing, twisting his body out of harm's way. Amidst the chaotic melee, Takashi and his allies clash fiercely with their opponents. The young adventurer expertly deflects a bandit's attack with the flat of his blade. Takashi delivers a powerful punch, sending an opponent reeling from the solid impact. He faces off against a hulking, mohawked brute, ready to strike the larger man. In a stunning display of swordsmanship, he spins and cuts down the bandit leader. The fight concludes with Takashi standing victorious amidst the unconscious bodies of his assailants. A strange, glowing skill notification appears in his vision, materializing from thin air. The system informs him that he has successfully acquired the swordsmanship skill. The elf girl Nomi watches him with a curious and intensely suspicious gaze. She asks if he is a high-ranking adventurer, but he denies it, claiming to be a novice. Nomi points out he just defeated 4 bandits and used a mysterious transfer skill. Panicked, Takashi worries that his secret isekai transfer ability has been discovered. He tries to deflect her suspicion by complimenting her excellent eyesight, which she attributes to being an elf. Takashi asks about her storage magic, but she says she's never heard of a mortal using it. They agree to keep each other's powers a secret, forming a pact of discretion. Standing before the burning bandit hideout, Takashi asks why they set it on fire. Nomi grimly explains it was to destroy evidence, hinting at a family plot orchestrated by her sister. Takashi is taken aback, realizing the situation is far more complex than he imagined. He suggests they hurry to the town of Rormel before she catches a cold. He sheepishly admits that he had initially thought she was just a lost child. Nomi is comically shocked and offended by his mistaken assumption about her age. Takashi watches in awe as she begins to summon her magic to guide them. She chants in an ancient tongue, a spiral of arcane runes flowing from her hands. The magic coalesces into a tiny, glowing, winged fairy resting in her palm. Nomi explains that the fairy will guide them to the nearby town of Rormel. The small creature flutters ahead, leading them on their journey through the forest. Along the way, Takashi is forced to battle a large, serpent-like monster. Finally, they arrive at the high, fortified walls of a large town. They pass through the town's bustling gates alongside other travelers and carts. The pair finds their way to a large inn called the Rampaging Giant. The inn door bursts open as the warrior Arya rushes out, crying Takashi's name in relief. With a cry of relief, Arya tackles Takashi in a fierce hug while Mateo smiles. She clings to him, confessing she was terrified that he had been killed. Takashi is uncomfortably smothered by the embrace as Arya watches with annoyance. Nomi looks on with a slight blush, a bit flustered by the scene. Finally free, Arya turns and asks Takashi to identify the quiet elf girl. He introduces Nomi, explaining that he rescued her from a group of bandits. Arya expresses her shock, wondering how Takashi could have possibly fought bandits. Embarrassed, Takashi admits he's still a weak level 4, unlike her. Nomi closes her eyes and politely introduces herself to the rest of the group. She recounts how she was kidnapped days ago and bravely rescued by Takashi. Takashi watches as Nomi finishes explaining his heroic act to the others. He scratches the back of his head sheepishly, humbled by her sincere gratitude. Mateo presents a grand feast, telling a hungry Takashi to eat his fill. While enjoying a piece of chicken, Takashi asks about the status of his luggage. The innkeeper reassures him that his belongings are safely stored in his room. The party's cleric playfully points out that she paid his 100,000 gold room fee. Mateo jokingly puts the cleric in a headlock for teasing Takashi about the money. Leaning in close, Arya whispers that he shouldn't worry, as it was his money anyway. The door opens with a click, announcing the arrival of a new figure. Nomi appears in a new outfit, thanking Arya for the beautiful clothes. The group praises her new look, telling her how cute and fitting it is. Nomi interrupts the celebration, stating she has a request for Takashi before they eat. He looks up from the table, asking what kind of request she has in mind. With great earnestness, she asks if he will take her to the Arlvi Divine Tree Kingdom. Mateo is stunned, exclaiming that the kingdom is an incredibly long journey away. He explains that entry for elves is currently restricted due to a recent incident. Nomi's expression darkens as she silently considers the mention of assassins. Takashi turns to her, asking if she was aware of this political situation. The narration notes the irony of the Elven Kingdom now restricting its own people. It is a legendary place where any wish can be granted at the top floor. The dungeon has powerful monsters on its upper levels, far beyond their abilities. Looking at Takashi, Nomi explains that her family is waiting for her there. Arya and Mateo watch the exchange, their faces etched with deep concern. Takashi looks at Nomi with a serious expression, regretfully declining her request. A shot of the inn's exterior as Takashi's words of refusal continue. Mateo and Arya confront Takashi, demanding to know why he is refusing Nomi. Takashi looks away, his pained expression revealing his true desire to go with her. A flashback shows a woman from the Equilibrium Adjustment Division explaining his mission. Takashi recalls the terrifying penalty for failure, a monstrous face haunting his thoughts. Overwhelmed by his friend's pleas, Takashi is trapped by his secret obligations. Nomi looks at Takashi with pleading eyes, asking him to reconsider his decision. The thought of the penalty for failure fills Takashi with overwhelming dread. Takashi makes a bizarre, acrobatic gesture of refusal, shocking a wide-eyed Nomi. Nomi, Mateo, and Arya look on with serious and concerned expressions. Takashi suggests a new plan, proposing they find an escort for Nomi. A beautiful elf woman with long hair looks on with a sad expression. The elf woman makes a request to the innkeeper Mateo as Takashi watches. The elf woman earnestly asks if she can please work at the inn. Takashi is shocked by the request, pointing out that Nomi is leaving. The elf woman explains that she is penniless and cannot accept guild quests. Takashi looks on with sympathy, understanding her difficult and lonely situation. The innkeeper Mateo grins, enthusiastically offering the elf woman a job. The elf woman beams with pure joy, gratefully accepting the job offer. Takashi suggests using his 100,000 gold to hire a guild escort for Nomi. Nomi smiles gently, appreciating his sentiment, but hoping he will change his mind. Mateo whispers to a flustered Takashi, teasing him about pursuing another pretty elf. Mateo looks smug while a tiny, jealous Arya glares furiously from behind him. A new elf woman shocks everyone by asking Mateo for a job at the inn. Takashi tells Mateo and the new elf he's going upstairs to check his luggage. A close-up on Takashi's boots as he firmly walks up the wooden stairs. From behind, Takashi opens the door to his room with a click of the latch. A close-up on Takashi's eye, which is wide with shock at what he sees. Takashi is stunned to find the mysterious cloaked figure, Ellen, waiting on his bed. Takashi shouts in frustration, pointing an accusatory finger forward. Arya looks on with concern, asking Takashi what is wrong. Startled, Takashi looks over his shoulder with a panicked expression. A surprised young man grabs a mysterious hooded woman's arm, who calmly tells him to wait. Takashi grabs the mysterious intruder, demanding to know who they are and why they are here. Downstairs, Arya and Mateo hear the commotion and rush up, Arya calling out Takashi's name in concern. From inside the room, Takashi desperately calls out to Arya for help. She reaches the door, finding it locked and rattling the handle furiously. A faint magical glow emanates from the keyhole, revealing the door has been sealed shut. The cloaked figure calmly asks Takashi if he was the one who defeated the fire ant. He confirms this, thanking the stranger for the scroll they provided, which now lies shattered in his memory. The figure repeats their demand to see his status, which Takashi protests, saying they just saw it. Outside, Arya continues to struggle with the locked door, wondering why it won't open. She deduces that the sound she hears is Takashi checking the new level he gained. A flash of realization hits her. This must be the same person who knocked her out at Helen's shop. Mateo tells the frantic Arya to step aside, preparing to intervene himself. With a mighty roar, the burly innkeeper swings a massive mallet at the door. The mallet connects with a deafening crash, but a magical barrier flares, holding the door firm. Peering at the glowing barrier, Mateo realizes a powerful magic seal is in place. Arya looks on, her face filled with worry as she calls out Takashi's name. Mateo roars that he won't let them do as they please in his establishment. His second blow rebounds off the barrier, sending him flying backward with a look of shock. His eyes bulge in comical surprise as the recoil sends him tumbling through the air. Peeking through the splintered door, they find the room completely empty, much to their astonishment. Mateo grimly concludes that only the demon race can use such powerful teleportation and barrier magic. He urgently tells Arya to contact the Adventurers Guild, and she agrees. Takashi and the cloaked figure materialize on a cliff in a bizarre alien landscape. The figure explains they simply moved to a quieter place to talk. Takashi protests the kidnapping, but is relieved when the figure hands him his teleported luggage. He gratefully accepts his backpack from the mysterious stranger. He points accusingly, demanding to know the figure's true identity. Takashi directly asks if his companion is a member of the demon race. The figure seems intrigued, asking how Takashi knows of their kind. Takashi explains the teleportation scroll was unusual, prompting him to ask for his status again. He agrees to show his status but insists on knowing the reason why. The figure puts a finger to their lips, asking him to confirm something first. Takashi looks weary and confused by the strange request. His status screen reveals he is Nakamura Takashi, level 41, with abnormally augmented stats. The figure cryptically states that his current power is not enough, and he must level up more. Confused by her statement, Takashi asks why his level is insufficient. A tremor runs through the alien landscape, startling Takashi. They stand before a colossal, dilapidated fortress choked by immense, pulsating vines. A massive tentacled plant monster emerges from the ruins, confronting them. Takashi flinches as a wave of overwhelming pressure washes over him. The figure commands him to fight the creature, a suggestion he finds unbelievable. A thick tentacle whips through the air, slamming into the ground where he just stood. With a pained expression, Takashi shouts for the monster to wait. He raises his sword to block, but the blade begins to glow ominously under the pressure. The monster's overwhelming power sends him flying backwards. He stares in shock at his hand, which now holds only the hilt of his sword. He raises the broken weapon defensively as more tentacles close in. He desperately tries to parry the whipping appendages. His sword shatters completely upon impact with the monster's aura. The force of the attack slams into his side, sending him tumbling across the rubble. He realizes with dawning horror that he cannot fight this creature at his current level. He rolls across the broken ground, utterly outmatched and helpless. The impact sends him flying through the air, his body limp. His companion calls out, telling him to use the weapon she throws. A massive, ornate greatsword lands in the rubble next to the fallen Takashi. He reaches out and closes his hand around the hilt of the powerful weapon. His expression shifts from fear to one of grim resolve, a dark aura surrounding him. He stands ready, facing the writhing mass of tentacles once more. The monster launches a volley of thick, log-like projectiles at him. He swings the greatsword in a clean arc, effortlessly slicing through the projectiles. The attack is completely neutralized, erupting in a cloud of dust and debris. With a mighty leap, Takashi soars high into the air above the monster. He brings the greatsword down in a devastating overhead strike, cleaving the creature in two. The monster lets out a final piercing shriek as its life is extinguished. He lands amidst the dissipating remains, panting from the exertion. A system notification confirms his victory and the rewards he has gained. His companion asks if he leveled up, but he confirms that he did not. She suggests they must fight the next monster to level up, which startles him. He checks his status, noting his HP is critically low at 95. His companion suggests he use the Divine Tree sapling to fully recover. He drinks the potion down in one gulp, a wave of energy coursing through him. He is amazed to find his HP has been completely restored to its maximum. As his companion suggests they move on, he quickly tells her to wait. She looks at him intently from behind her mask, waiting for him to speak. He expresses his concern, asking if she has any defensive gear for herself. She considers his question about armor for a moment. She stands before him, her posture changing as she prepares to reveal something. She reaches up and pulls down her hood, revealing her long, dark hair. A close-up shows her beautiful, determined face. An elegant, curved horn is revealed nestled in her dark hair. The other horn comes into view, confirming her demonic heritage. Takashi stares, blushing, as he realizes she truly is a member of the demon race. She presents him with a piece of powerful enchanted gear. He is now clad in Ellen's clothes, a robe providing incredible damage reduction. Ellen asks if he likes the new gear, which she can craft anytime. He clenches his fist, impressed by how light and flexible the powerful armor is. 3 more plant monsters erupt from the ground as Ellen tells him it's time to go. Ellen leaps into action, a blur of motion as she slices into a monster. Takashi follows suit, his own blade flashing as he cuts down another foe. He drives his dagger deep into the fleshy hide of a writhing plant creature. Ellen delivers a final, decisive blow, cleaving a monster in 2. Takashi stands amidst the defeated monsters, multiple system notifications appearing. He pants heavily, exhausted from the relentless battle. Ellen asks if he leveled up, but he tells her to wait while he checks his status. His status screen reveals he has reached level 43. Ellen notes he only gained 2 levels, suggesting they need to go to a higher floor. Takashi frantically holds up his hands, telling her to stop. He declares that he's at his physical limit and needs to rest. Ellen looks on with a hint of concern in her eyes. A diagram shows his mental journey from the dungeon, through the forest, and back to his apartment. Utterly exhausted, the young adventurer Takashi collapses face down onto his bed, pleading for sleep. Beside his hand on the rumpled sheets lie his smartphone and a single cracked magic stone. A memory of the horn girl, Ellen, surfaces, recalling her explanation of her flexible Arachne's thread armor. In the memory, a tiny shrunken Ellen offers him a glowing crystal, telling him to take it. Back in the present, his thoughts are consumed by the overwhelming need to raise his level. His phone suddenly begins to vibrate violently, interrupting his attempt to rest. The screen lights up with an incoming call, the buzzing sound insistent. Groggily, he picks up the phone and answers, asking who is calling. A young woman's voice identifies her as Sekiya Shiori from the Sasayama 5th dungeon. Takashi sits bolt upright, his eyes wide with shock as he recognizes the name. He has a vivid flashback of seeing Sekiya in her delicate lingerie in the geothermal pit. On the phone, Sekiya explains that she felt she had to thank him properly. Takashi panics internally, worried about what she might ask after that embarrassing incident. She gets straight to the point, asking if he would be free to meet her today. Flustered, he wonders what he should do, caught completely off guard by the invitation. Composing himself, he makes an excuse about having a strict weekly quota to meet. Sekiya sounds disappointed but says she understands and will contact him again soon. After the call ends, her face is cast in a somber, downcast expression. Later, Takashi arrives at the city hall, thinking about how he's short on his quota. At the average adjustment division, the prim, bespectacled clerk Sarashina types at her desk. He sheepishly apologizes for always submitting his required magic stones at the last minute. Sarashina looks up from her work and asks if he has any dungeon plans for tomorrow. He replies that he has no particular plans, surprised by her question. With a slight smile, she invites him to join her in her party on an expedition. A blush spreads across his face as he lets out a small, surprised, "Eh?" She explains a stampede is expected, and they're short on porters for the subjugation mission. A text box describes a stampede as a terrifying overflow of monsters from a dungeon. As an incentive, she tells him that participating will waive his entire weekly quota. His face lights up with relief and joy as he eagerly accepts her offer. Walking away, he feels a slight pang of guilt for turning down Sekiya's invitation. His attention is drawn to his phone as he checks the local dungeon listings. The screen shows details for the Sasayama 13th dungeon, an E-rank location. He wonders why a dungeon with only hellhounds and killer bats is so unpopular. The listing confirms, to his surprise, that there are no current or scheduled entrants. A look of grim determination settles on his face as he makes a decision. Clad in his dark, hooded adventurer's gear, he stands before the dungeon's swirling portal. His hand rests on the hilt of the powerful dagger Ellen gave him, ready for battle. His status screen confirms his level 43 stats and formidable skills and equipment. He reaches out a hand, stepping through the shimmering veil and into the dungeon. Inside the dark mine-like cavern, he stands alert, his hand raised defensively. A massive, clawed foot slams into the rocky ground, signaling an enemy's approach. 3 ferocious, armored hellhounds emerge from the shadows, confronting him with guttural snarls. He notes their surprising size and has a fleeting thought of running away. He immediately clenches his fist, banishing the thought of escape from his mind. Stomping his foot down, he resolves with confidence that he can win this fight. He stands amidst a cloud of dust, letting out a small sound of surprise. The remains of the vanquished hellhounds lie on the ground as he questions his easy victory. In a dynamic blur, he is shown dispatching all 3 beasts with shocking ease. A system notification confirms his kill, rewarding him with over 3.7 million experience points. He's shown striking a killer bat, a notification detailing his EXP and loot gains. A massive swarm of glowing-eyed killer bats descends upon him from the cavern ceiling. He quietly notes that the fight was an easy victory for him. He becomes a spinning whirlwind of death, his blade and cloak cutting through the entire swarm. He stuffs his bag with the numerous monster fangs and wings he has collected. Leaning against a rock wall, he marvels that he took 0 damage, thanks to a divine potion. His status screen shows he still needs over 513 million experience points to level up. He notes that while he is level 43, his base stats remain unchanged. Staring into the gloom, he begins to question his purpose for fighting so hard. His thoughts drift to Ellen, wondering if he is leveling up just for her sake. He then considers if he is trying to prove his worth to the bullies from his past. He reflects that while his power has grown, his own inner spirit has not kept pace. Chastising himself for being trapped by the past, he slaps his own face to focus. With renewed purpose, he ventures deeper into the dark, mine-like tunnel. The next morning, back on Earth, he stands on the stairs of his apartment building. In his kitchen, he yelps in pain, having spilled hot water while preparing a drink. As he butters a piece of toast, he thinks about the N. Kuroda 8th dungeon. Eating his breakfast, he recalls that it's a dungeon located near a residential area. His phone shows that the C-rank dungeon surprisingly has A-rank adventurers participating. He pulls up a map on his phone to check the dungeon's exact location. Standing on a city street, he sees the entrance to the N. Kuroda 8th dungeon. A profile of Ando Yoji, a muscular 28-year-old A-rank magic attacker, appears. Takashi is starstruck, wishing he could one day be powerful enough to clear a dungeon alone. Washing dishes, he wryly muses that reaching such a level would take him decades. The participant list shows that 40 C-rank adventurers are registered for the mission. He sees the profile of Sato Hiroto, a familiar C-rank attacker. He then sees the profile of the C-rank healer, Sekiya Shiori, paired with Sato's. A close-up shows Sekiya's calm and beautiful face on the official roster. Riding his scooter, he resigns himself to his role as a porter, unlikely to interact with them. He arrives at a checkpoint where a guard directs him to the designated bike parking. The staging area is bustling with activity, feeling more like a small festival than a mission. A group of adventurers is shown checking their gear and chatting before the expedition. Other adventurers stand ready, their weapons drawn and their expressions serious. An organizer in a suit thanks Takashi for coming, admitting they were short on porters. Takashi cheerfully replies that being a porter is his specialty, happy that his quota is waived. He lets out a bashful, happy laugh, scratching the back of his head. Spotting a familiar face, he offers a polite and cheerful, "Good morning." He is flustered to see Sarashina, noting she has a completely different aura now. Sarashina, now in full B-rank armor, explains she's only present as support. She playfully teases him, asking if he just wanted to see her in her gear. The chapter title page features the confident A-rank adventurer, Ando Yoji, lounging in a chair. The organizer points out the celebrity adventurer, Ando Yoji, to a wide-eyed Takashi. Takashi is visibly impressed, muttering A-rank to himself in awe. The organizer explains Ando's presence is crucial in case of a dangerous stampede. A small girl is shown serving Ando a drink, a testament to his high status. Takashi wistfully thinks that if he could just level up, he could be like that too. The squad leader, Soda, aggressively declares he will collect all magic stones for distribution. He barks at the other adventurers, who meekly agree to his terms. The organizer confirms that the B-rank attacker, Soeda Makoto, is Takashi's squad leader. Takashi lets out a shocked gasp, realizing the difficult position he's now in. He sees that Sato and Sekiya are also in his squad, confirming his predicament. The squad leader, Soda, aggressively orders the F-rank porters to focus on collecting magic stones. Takashi Nakamura and the other porters meekly obey, with Takashi lamenting his station in life. A voice calls out to Nakamura, startling him as he carries the heavy party backpack. The beautiful healer, Sekiya Shiori, quietly asks if he has a moment to talk later. Taken aback, Takashi asks if she means today, and she confirms her request. The blonde adventurer, Sato, angrily tells Sekiya to ignore Takashi and come along with him. Soeda officially announces their departure, leading the party into the dungeon's depths. A small map illustrates the squad's planned route from the dungeon entrance. The party soon confronts their first foe, a monstrous C-rank dark spider. Soda's enchanted sword descends in a powerful, swift slash toward the creature. With a mighty war cry, he brings his full force down upon the spider. His blade slices cleanly through the monster's head, killing it in a single blow. The other C-rank adventurers cheer, impressed by their leader's overwhelming strength. The group finds themselves in a chaotic melee, battling a swarm of the spiders. After the fight, a pair of valuable magic stones are left on the ground. Soeda collects the spoils, placing them into one of the porter's bags. The party's map shows them proceeding deeper, into a large open plaza area. Soda raises a hand, signaling for the entire group to halt their advance. He warns that a monster stampede is likely, and they risk being surrounded. Takashi reflects on a past battle, realizing this wide area is perfect for luring enemies. Soda cruelly orders the 3 terrified F-rank porters to go forward and act as bait. A magical attack from another adventurer draws out a massive horde of the dark spiders. The porters flee in terror as the spider swarm surges directly toward them. The entire party is thrown into a desperate, chaotic battle against the overwhelming numbers. After the fight, Sato complains about a B-rank being present, while accusing an F-rank of slacking. Takashi ignores Sato's taunts, his face set in a grim, silent expression. Enraged at being ignored, Sato violently shoves Takashi to the ground. Takashi lies on the floor, stunned by the sudden and unprovoked physical assault. Sekiya rushes to Takashi's side, asking if he's all right as Sato points dismissively. With a furious glare, Sekiya sharply rebukes Sato for his cruel treatment of Takashi. Sato sneers back, retorting that carrying luggage is all an F-rank is capable of. Sekiya declares they can't fight without their porter, touching Takashi with her kindness. Entering a new vast chamber, Suda bellows for someone to bring him a light. With a look of concern, the party leader, Soeda, orders someone to go investigate. A massive, strange crystal formation dominates the chamber, an anomaly Soeda notes wasn't there before. A lone adventurer cautiously approaches the mysterious crystal, his expression one of silent apprehension. Suddenly, the crystal cracks and erupts in a blinding flash of light and energy. From the shattered crystal, a monstrous undead centipede emerges, a terrifying B-rank anomaly. The terrified adventurer screams for Soda to save him from the approaching monster. In a brutal instant, the centipede's sharp appendage impales the man through his torso. The monster lifts its victim, crushing him in its massive, horrific mandibles. Its powerful jaws clamp down with sickening force, ending the adventurer's life. A severed arm, still clad in its gauntlet, clatters gruesomely onto the stone floor. Soda orders the F-ranks to retreat and call for help while he holds the line. He bellows at his remaining fighters, telling them to steel their nerves for the fight. A fleeing porter asks Nakamura what he intends to do, urging him to get reinforcements. Nakamura declares with steely resolve that he will stay behind to watch the battle. He clenches his fist tightly, his decision made and his determination solidifying. From the rear, Nakamura watches as the remaining adventurers engage the monstrous centipede. The undead centipede looms over them, its multiple eyes fixed on its prey. Soda and another warrior leap into action, striking at the colossal beast together. With a powerful leap, Suda brings his heavy sword down upon the monster's head. His blade connects with the creature's tough exoskeleton in a shower of sparks. The monster's wicked claws surge upward, aimed directly at Soda's exposed body. A female magic user unleashes a blast of energy, trying to create an opening. In a fleeting moment, Soeda wonders if his powerful strike was actually effective. The monster's counterattack is swift, its massive claws impaling the B-rank leader. He is sent flying across the chamber by the sheer force of the blow. Sekiya and Sato cry out his name in horror, watching their leader fall. Sato realizes with dawning terror that they were too late to help him. The centipede brings its claws down, crushing Soda's body in a final, brutal assault. A spray of blood erupts as the leader's body is mangled beyond recognition. The remaining fighters panic, declaring they can't win and must run for their lives. Sato yells at his comrades as they turn to flee through the stone archway. Sekiya stays behind, declaring she will now heal a fallen companion, ignoring the retreat. Sato watches his allies flee, his own expression a mixture of fear and indecision. The colossal undead centipede looms over the fallen party members, its mandibles poised to strike. One of the surviving warriors, overcome by terror, turns his back and begins to flee. As the coward escapes through an archway, the healer Ayori desperately tries to administer a potion. The porter Nakamura steps forward alone, resolutely facing the towering B-rank monster. A close-up on his determined face reveals his inner vow to become the person he wants to be. Transformed into a hooded figure, he declares he is not the kind of man who runs away. He leaps onto the monster's head, driving his weapon into its armored carapace with a powerful strike. The enraged centipede thrashes wildly, trying to dislodge the audacious attacker from its back. With immense force, the monster smashes its head into a thick stone pillar, shattering it completely. The impact sends Nakamura flying, and he crashes hard against the rubble-strewn ground. He realizes with alarm that the single devastating blow has wiped out 90% of his health. Knowing he must act quickly, he fumbles for a potion, believing he must drink it to survive. He pulls out a vial, recognizing it as the life-saving sap of the divine tree. A system notification confirms the potion's ability to fully restore a user's health points. The centipede lunges forward, its horrifying maw wide open, ready to deliver the final blow. Skidding to a halt on the ground, Nakamura prepares himself as the monster bears down on him. The creature's body begins to convulse strangely, its movements surprising the hooded warrior. He catches the putrid stench of an undead-type monster, which sparks a desperate, brilliant idea. Instead of drinking, he hurls the healing potion, gambling that it will damage the undead creature. He wonders if a potion from the world of Istify can inflict damage on such a foe. The vial sails through the air, disappearing directly into the monster's gaping mouth with a splash. He pulls out another vial from his belt, preparing for his next move as his plan unfolds. The holy potion works like a potent acid, causing the monster's flesh to dissolve from within. He leaps onto the monster's back, riding the bucking creature as it thrashes in its death throes. Ayori looks up from the unconscious Sakia, her expression one of utter disbelieving astonishment. The monster's flesh melts away in clouds of vapor, revealing the pale, skeletal structure beneath. Nakamura stands firm atop the creature's head as it writhes in its violent, chaotic final moments. The centipede's serpentine body coils and uncoils in a vaporous final dance of destruction. The battle ends as the monster's skeletal head, its mandibles broken, shatters on the ground. A B-rank magic stone and a long centipede fang materialize as loot from the defeated beast. System notifications confirm that he has successfully leveled up and his stats have increased. Catching his breath, Nakamura reflects that he somehow managed to defeat the formidable monster. He considers his next move, knowing his true identity must not be revealed to his companion. A tearful young woman resolves to honor Sakia's sacrifice, refusing to abandon the life he saved. An unconscious Sato lies on the cold, hard ground, letting out a faint groan. The disguised Nakamura decides to play the part of a dark hero, telling Ayori to keep this a secret. Ayori watches with a look of confused concern, swallowing nervously at the mysterious scene. With a soft pop, Nakamura uncorks a small vial containing a glowing, otherworldly liquid. Ayori asks what the vial is, and he reassures her it is just a simple wound medicine. He kneels, cradling the unconscious Sato's head to administer the miraculous potion. The glowing liquid is carefully poured from the vial into Sato's mouth. Sato lets out another low groan as the mysterious potion begins to take effect. His mangled legs begin to glow and twitch violently as the healing process starts. With a swirl of light, his bones snap back into place with a horrifying sound. Ayori screams, her face a mask of pure terror at the impossibly fast healing. She recoils in shock, exclaiming her disbelief at the grotesque yet miraculous sight. As the hooded figure stands, Ayori calls out to him, trying to get his attention. He coldly commands her to forget everything that she has just witnessed. Turning his back, he walks away, leaving her and the healed Sato behind. The mysterious figure vanishes into a dark archway, leaving Ayori alone in the ruins. Later, the unmasked Nakamura looks pleased while Ayori tends to the still unconscious Sato. Nakamura touches his chin, feeling satisfied with the successful outcome of his deception. He mentally summons his status screen, curious to see his recent progress. His new stats show he is level 56, now on par with a C-rank adventurer. The young boy, also named Sato, rushes over, asking if Nakamura is all right. The surviving party members have regrouped, and Sakia asks if everyone is safe. An official from the Average Adjustment Division questions the group about the undead centipede. Sakia explains that by the time he awoke, the formidable monster had simply vanished. The official then asks for Nakamura, who raises his hand to identify himself. The man in the suit gives the order to begin evacuating the wounded. Ayori asks Nakamura why he didn't run away when he had the chance. Another man comments that Nakamura seems to have some pretty good luck. Nakamura laughs nervously, explaining he was afraid he'd get in trouble if he fled. The young boy Sato rushes to Ayori, overjoyed that she is safe. He grabs her hands, expressing his immense relief at seeing her unharmed. The boy then turns to Sakia, adding that he's glad he is safe as well. Ayori explains that she had rushed to bring reinforcements, which Sakia acknowledges. With a faint smile, the masked Sakia looks on as Nakamura comments on Sato's pitiful state. Nakamura thinks to himself with a grin that his former friend is in a sorry situation. An official orders the party to undergo a baggage check, while Soida demands they surrender their magic stones. A wave of panic hits Nakamura as he remembers the secret otherworldly items hidden in his backpack. Feigning urgency, Nakamura tells a colleague he's at his limit and desperately needs the restroom. Having teleported to the other world, he is greeted with a welcoming smile from the horned woman, Ellen. He quickly hands her his incriminating gear, explaining he just defeated a centipede and needs her to hold it. Back on Earth, a suspicious colleague knocks on the locked stall door, calling out for Nakamura. Nakamura explains to Ellen it was a lucky win, and she agrees to process the monster parts for him. Bursting out of the stall, he announces that it was a close call, leaving his colleagues confused. He apologizes to Ellen for the rush and waves goodbye, promising to see her again later. A detailed view of his armor reveals a hidden pocket on the back of his leg guards. A female official announces the start of the magic stone distribution as Nakamura watches. He reflects on the constant, tedious hassle of hiding his loot and managing his gear. At the average adjustment division tent, an official announces the end of the day's operations. In a parking lot, Sakia calls out to Nakamura, acknowledging his hard work for the day. She holds out a large, glittering handful of magic stones, offering them to him as a gift. Nakamura and his colleagues are stunned by the gesture as he asks what they are for. Sekia explains it's a thank you for his efforts, including Suda's 50-stone share. Placing the pouch in his hand, she insists this is his portion, and he offers a quiet thank you. He protests that he can't accept so much, knowing an F rank like him normally gets nothing. Unseen, the jealous adventurer Sato glares from behind a van, his face full of rage. The scene fades to white, signaling a transition. The intense eyes of a masked figure are shown, hinting at a hidden, watchful presence. Sekia, on her scooter, suggests she and Nakamura ride to the division building together. Outside the modern building, the narrative reflects that the undead centipede was not defeated by just anyone. A vertical sign clearly marks the building as the average adjustment division. Inside a sterile office, Nakamura and Sekia tell two officials the monster simply vanished on its own. Sekia, on the verge of tears, nervously agrees with their official story. The lead investigator turns his sharp, unnerving gaze on Nakamura, asking what he saw. Sweating, Nakamura lies that he was too terrified and simply covered his ears, seeing nothing. The investigator's face twists into a sinister smile as he reveals his own theory about a status faker. He presents a photo of Soida's mangled legs, questioning the official story of how they were devoured. An official questions Sekia, who explains her companion Soida was unconscious and doesn't remember. The other female party member admits that she doesn't recall the events clearly. The official listens with a sharp, skeptical expression, unconvinced by their stories. Noting she is a C-rank healer, he requests a status reevaluation, to which she meekly agrees. Waiting in a hallway, Nakamura feels racked with guilt, knowing he caused her trouble. His internal thoughts reveal he cannot possibly explain the truth about the sacred item he used. Eventually, Sekia emerges from the evaluation room, walking alongside the officials. Deciding he must speak to her, Nakamura waits in the large, busy administrative hall. At a counter, he is stunned to learn 10 C-rank magic stones are worth 320,000 yen. The clerk confirms a single stone's value, and Nakamura realizes he owes Sekia his thanks. He leans against a railing, waiting for her to finish her business with the officials. Sekia finally appears looking serious, accompanied by a surprised-looking man in a suit. Her escorts depart, one giving a casual wave as they walk down the hall. Nakamura calls out to Sekia, waving to get her attention as she walks away. In the middle of the hallway, they both offer a formal, synchronized bow. He asks if she's heading home, remarking that the administrative procedures took a while. Seeing an opportunity, he suggests they get dinner together since he's gotten hungry. They sit across from each other in a booth at a family restaurant called Palzeria. He feels a bit nervous, wondering what he should talk to Arya about. Breaking the silence, Sekia offers a quiet, heartfelt apology. Nakamura looks up from his drink, surprised by her words. He clarifies that he never actually intended to avoid her. She confesses that she had been avoiding him. She admits with a pained expression that she said cruel things to him. Her guilt comes from wrongly suspecting him of using a concealment skill. He is surprised that she was so worried about him over something like that. With a warm, easy smile, he tells her to forget about it and not to worry. Touched by his kindness, she calls him a good person and mentions him protecting her. A brief, flustered memory of her in delicate lingerie flashes through his mind. An awkward silence descends upon them as they both look down at their drinks. A cheerful waitress arrives with their food, breaking the tension with perfect timing. The mood lightens instantly as they both begin to happily eat their meals. Sekia takes a bite of her food, her eyes wide with simple, honest enjoyment. The young man's eyes widen in surprised pleasure as he takes a bite of food. After their meal, a few empty plates sit on the table, remnants of their dinner. Walking outside, Sekia happily exclaims that she's full and feels much better now. She turns to Nakamura, asking if he would be willing to talk again sometime. Nakamura expresses his concern, worrying that a man named Sato might be upset by it. With a distant look, Sekia starts to say something about Sato, but trails off. Now by her scooter, she dismisses the topic, telling Nakamura it was nothing. She looks at him with sincere gratitude, thanking him for everything he did that day. He is utterly shocked, questioning her use of the familiar suffix kun instead of san. As Sekia drives off on her scooter, Nakamura wishes her a good night. Watching her leave, he reflects that she is much more friendly than he had imagined. He gets on his own scooter, preparing to pull out onto the quiet street. A sudden bright light appears in the corner of his eye, catching him by surprise. A car swerves directly in front of him, its headlights blinding him. With a deafening screech of metal, his scooter collides violently with the vehicle. Lying on the ground beside his wrecked scooter, he sees Sato get out of the car. Sato's face is a mask of rage as he furiously accuses Nakamura of eating with his shiori. Nakamura realizes with horror that Sato intentionally hit him with his car. Grabbing his collar, Sato furiously demands he hand over all the magic stones from Sakia. Nakamura asks why, then understands Sato is blaming him for the failed C-rank assessment. Sato throws a punch, yelling that a low-ranking F-class should just shut up and obey. With surprising speed, Nakamura's hand flashes up, catching the punch with ease. As Sato stares in shock, Nakamura twists his arm, causing him to cry out in pain. Continuing to apply pressure, Nakamura forces the struggling Sato down. Sato grimaces in agony, cursing Nakamura's name. Nakamura's hand moves with purpose, preparing to force Sato to the ground. He slams Sato face first onto the pavement, pinning him with a firm knee. While Sato wails in pain, Nakamura is shocked at his own actions and newfound skill. A brilliant flash of white light fills the space, signifying a change. A soft chime sounds and Nakamura lets out a quiet "eh" of surprise. Realizing he's used too much force, he releases his grip as Sato begs to be let go. Sato scrambles away, questioning how a supposed F-rank could possess such power. Fleeing to his car, Sato screams that Nakamura will regret this before speeding off. Nakamura stands alone, wondering if he could read Sato's moves because of his level or this new skill. An exterior view shows a simple two-story apartment complex with outdoor stairs. Inside his room, Nakamura complains that his backpack is completely filled with monster materials. His expression is troubled as he wonders if there is a way to solve his luggage problem. Suddenly, he stands in a forest, having used his otherworld transfer skill to travel. A close-up on his overstuffed pack highlights the source of his frustration. Startled, he looks up as Ellen greets him from a tree branch, asking how long she's been there. She calmly informs him that she has been waiting for him since that morning. Ellen gestures, preparing to use her magic, as Nakamura watches in surprise. From her hand, a simple cloth sack appears as if from nowhere. Nakamura exclaims in shock as a flash of light confirms the bag was summoned from empty space. He looks up at her, asking if what she just did was a form of spatial magic. With his back to her, he wonders if he could learn to use that same ability. Ellen gives him a direct look, asking if he is unable to use it. He theatrically tries to cast the spell, shouting out game-like terms for storage skills. She asks what he's doing, and he explains he's testing to see if he can use the magic. Putting a finger to her chin, she asks if his goal is to store items in a subspace. He eagerly asks if there's a method, but she explains that such skill books do not exist. His face brightens with hope as he asks how she is able to use it then. With a slightly embarrassed expression, she reveals it's an innate power she was born with. Nakamura's face falls in comical despair upon hearing that it's an inborn talent. He gestures in frustration, asking if he could use it if he leveled up. Her expression brightens as she reveals there is a way for him to use it immediately. Overjoyed, he leans in, excitedly asking if she is telling him the truth. She takes his hand, telling him they should go, and he readily agrees. They walk hand in hand down a surreal, checkered hallway leading into a dark void. Stopping in the corridor, Ellen announces that they must now fight, leaving him confused. Nakamura clenches his fist, showing his readiness despite his bewilderment. At the end of the hall sits a treasure chest, which he realizes is a mimic monster. The chapter page shows them facing the mimic as Ellen asks how they should proceed. Ellen presents him with a gift, a newly crafted weapon for the coming battle. The powerful dagger, forged from a centipede's tooth, boasts a plus 150 attack bonus. He expresses his amazement that she finished it so quickly, praising her incredible skill. She beams with pride, blushing happily at his sincere compliment. A hand rests on a dark cloak as the character summons their status. Masked Takashi examines his new dagger, marveling at its special paralyzing effect. Takashi asks Ellen if he can use spatial magic on the chest. Takashi asks how a mimic attacks as he reaches for the keyhole. A close-up on Takashi's eye as he agrees to open the chest. The chest springs open, and ribbon-like appendages erupt, ensnaring Takashi. The appendages violently drag the captured Takashi into the chest's dark interior. An ornate classic treasure chest sits ominously, rattling as if it's alive. Ellen looks on with a worried expression, explaining the mimic's dangerous nature. Takashi finds himself in a vast, featureless white void, confused and disoriented. A close-up on Takashi's shocked face as he holds up a hand. Takashi kneels, looking up in shock at a perfect, standing copy of himself. Takashi looks up at his doppelganger, his eyes wide with utter confusion. The two identical figures clash in a fierce duel, their daggers sparking. Takashi grits his teeth, realizing his opponent is perfectly mimicking his every move. The two identical fighters break apart, facing each other in a tense standoff. Panning, Takashi confirms his suspicion that the mimic is perfectly copying him. Takashi faces his identical doppelganger, wondering how perfectly it has copied his abilities. With a determined expression, Takashi lunges forward to land the first strike. The mimic perfectly blocks Takashi's lunge, their daggers clashing with a spark. A close-up shows their daggers locked in a stalemate of equal force. The two are locked in a fierce struggle, their blades crossed in combat. Takashi frantically searches for a flaw in his opponent's perfectly mirrored stance. A close-up on Takashi's eye shows a spark of dawning realization. Takashi deliberately makes a clumsy attack, intending to create an opening. With a determined shout, Takashi exploits the opening he has just created. The mimic's dagger strikes Takashi's arm, exploiting the very same opening. A close-up on the mimic's blank wide eyes, mirroring Takashi's feigned opening. The mimic's dagger strikes Takashi's arm, exploiting the opening he intentionally created. Takashi clutches his face in shock, realizing he has been paralyzed by the attack. Defeated, Takashi looks down as the mimic's blade hovers near his neck. The victorious mimic stands over Takashi, who is frozen and unable to move. Takashi realizes the mimic copied his weapon's paralyzing ability, turning it against him. Helpless before the mimic, Takashi's only thought is a desperate need to escape. Helpless, the hooded adventurer watches his doppelganger prepare the final killing blow. In a flash of insight, he wonders if he can activate skills while paralyzed. A system prompt materializes, offering him a chance to return to his home world. He triggers the transfer skill, his body dissolving into light just in time. The mimic's attack strikes empty air, its eyes wide with shock. He reappears outside his familiar, modern apartment building, safe for now. Leaning against his bed, he gasps in profound relief that he managed to escape. A digital clock reads 7:48 as he wonders how long the paralysis will last. He recalls the mimic's relentless assault while he was completely immobilized. The clock ticks over, and he realizes his opponent must also be paralyzed. The thought strikes him with sudden clarity, his eyes widening in understanding. Sensation returns to his limbs as he exclaims that the paralysis is finally gone. He clenches his fist, calculating the paralysis effect lasts for over a minute. Though its activation chance is unknown, he knows it's an incredibly powerful skill. His thoughts turn inward, admitting he has used world transfer as a crutch. He recalls his past weakness, but knows he is stronger since the fire ant. With newfound resolve, he clenches his gauntleted fist, ready to face his fear. He declares he will run no more and activates his transfer skill once again. Standing alone in the vast white void, he holds his weapon at the ready. On high alert, he scans the empty horizon, searching for his foe. He calls out, demanding to know where his cunning opponent has gone. His search ends abruptly as he glances down at his own feet. A small gelatinous slime quivers on the ground before him. He stares in confusion, wondering what this strange slime could be. He watches the unassuming blob, unsure of what has just transpired. A system notification announces the mimic's defeat and his massive EXP gain. He questions if the unassuming slime was the mimic's true form. He picks up the dropped inventory ring, examining the curious magical item. His companion Ellen appears and asks if he wants the ring he acquired. He murmurs the name of the powerful item, inventory ring, in awe. He asks Ellen if it allows for subspace item storage, which she confirms. She instructs him to hold out his hand for the activation ritual. Following her directions, he prepares to prick his finger with a needle. A single drop of his blood falls onto the ornate ring. The powerful artifact erupts in a brilliant flash of activating light. Ellen tells him he can now put the ring on any finger he chooses. She watches him intently as he prepares to use his new power. He slips the newly activated ring onto his finger with a faint glow. Thinking the word inventory, he mentally summons the system's user interface. A pleasant chime sounds in his mind as the menu appears before him. A list of all his stored weapons materializes in a holographic display. He browses the list, his eyes landing on a particularly powerful demon dagger. The dagger's impressive stats are displayed, showing a plus 300 attack bonus. The description for the demon dagger confirms its incredible power. He marvels at the convenient pop-up menu that has appeared before him. He decides to retrieve the formidable demon dagger from his new storage. Reaching into a portal, he pulls the weapon into reality, amazed by the skill. Later, he tells Ellen he needs a break from their leveling session. She looks surprised by his sudden request to stop their training. He holds up his hands, explaining he has errands to run in the city. Ellen puffs her cheeks out in clear annoyance at his decision. He offers a compromise. They will level up for 2 hours that night. She agrees, and for a moment, they walk hand in hand. At the edge of a forest overlooking the city, they say their goodbyes. He waves as she departs, disappearing into the dense woods. He watches her leave, a flicker of suspicion crossing his mind. Ellen herself looks back with a slightly confused expression. He asks if she will be all right navigating the forest by herself. She reassures him that she will be fine and won't be attacked. He wonders if she, as a demon, is friends with the monsters. He dismisses the thought, concluding that it must be a lie. He returns to his own world, appearing outside his apartment building. Inside his messy room, he finds his old gear and backpack. He calls upon his inventory skill to organize his belongings. He begins by sorting the monster parts crammed into his backpack. The system neatly categorizes hellhound fangs and killer bat wings. A prompt asks if he wants to sort and store the items automatically. He eagerly agrees, proceeding to do the same with his second pack. The inventory list now shows his 2 backpacks and a flashlight. He exclaims how incredibly convenient the inventory skill is for him. He considers his equipment, planning to switch to lighter armor later. Dressed in his gear, he prepares to transfer back to the world of Istia. He selects yes on the transfer prompt, ready for his next adventure. He materializes in the dim, quiet woods of the other world. He spots a figure moving through the trees and immediately gives chase. Peeking through the bushes, he thinks he has located the figure. A sudden, violent tremor from the ground startles him completely. A massive boar-like beast erupts from the earth directly before him. Unflinching, he draws his dual daggers and braces for the charge. He lands a decisive blow, and the creature dissolves into light. A large piece of boar meat materializes as a drop from the monster. He is surprised that such a large beast was only F rank. A blonde warrior woman, Arya, suddenly appears from the undergrowth. Pointing an accusatory finger, she claims he stole her kill. He can only respond with a confused "huh?" at her accusation. She points out that he doesn't even have the main drop from the boar. Her party appears behind her, calling for someone named Kais. She looks up at Takashi, calling for Kais to come over. The arrogant adventurer Kais appears, declaring Takashi has guts to steal his prey. Kais and his party surround Takashi, demanding an explanation. Holding the boar meat, Takashi tries to explain he is returning it. Arya mocks his strange hood and suggests they teach him a lesson. Her companions eagerly agree, one of them calling him a weakling. Kai smugly states that Takashi must first apologize to him. He aggressively grabs Takashi's hood, demanding he remove it. Takashi reacts instantly, grabbing Kai's outstretched arm. Kais lets out a surprised grunt as his attack is thwarted. With a perfect shoulder throw, Takashi sends the arrogant adventurer flying. Kais crashes headfirst into the top of a tall pine tree. He becomes ignominiously stuck before tumbling to the ground, defeated. Kais dangles upside down from a tree as his female companions rush to help. A close-up on Arya's shocked and furious face, demanding to know what happened. Takashi flees the scene, shouting an apology over his shoulder to the angry onlookers. Kais, enraged on the ground, is tended to by 2 female companions. Takashi looks at his inventory, represented by a large, ornate chest icon. Takashi stands on a hill, looking over the city of Rurmel. Takashi looks thoughtful, wondering aloud how his friend Arya is doing. Takashi walks through the bustling, vibrant market streets of Rurmel, an establishing shot of the large domed, rampaging giant's pavilion inn. A close-up of hands sweeping the steps as a door opens. The elf girl Nomi, in a maid outfit, spots Takashi and calls his name. Inside, Nomi hugs Takashi with relief while Mateo questions his absence. A close-up on Takashi's serious face as he begins to explain something. A close-up on an ornate, steaming teacup sitting on its saucer. Levan and Noemi question a confused Takashi about his recent disappearance. Levan looks suspicious, wondering why someone would want to see Takashi's status. Takashi looks frustrated, admitting he also wants to know the answer most. In the end, Takashi asks Levan and Noemi where Arya has gone. Nomi looks down with concern, explaining Arya has been feeling down lately. Mateo, the innkeeper, says Arya is likely hunting rabbits and offers to go get her. The door suddenly slams open, startling Takashi and Nomi during their conversation. Nomi earnestly asks Takashi to describe the woman he was with earlier. Takashi describes the woman, a vision of Ellen appearing as he speaks. A young woman looks serious, confirming her suspicion that a demon was involved. Takashi looks confused, questioning the woman's sudden and serious conclusion. Nomi explains she detected lingering magic in Takashi's empty inn room. Nomi asks a pointed question about the person's eyes, gesturing to her own. Takashi confirms the person had different colored eyes, causing Nomi to react in shock. Nomi dramatically reveals the demon's eyes were yellow, green, and red, a shocking detail. Takashi looks surprised, impressed that Nomi knew the specific eye colors. The door is kicked open with force, startling a surprised Takashi. Nomi grabs Takashi's arms, pleading to stay and protect him in his room. Nomi insists on the danger, while a flustered Takashi vehemently refuses her offer. Takashi and the elf girl Nomi look on with shocked expressions, Takashi stammering in confusion. With a sudden, powerful crash, the warrior woman Arya bursts into the room, flying towards them. She tackles Takashi in a tearful, desperate hug as the innkeeper Matteo and Nomi watch in disbelief. Clinging to him, Arya sobs that she was so worried about what had happened to him. Outside the inn, Arya fumes, certain that the mysterious woman Takashi was with is to blame. The group sits together, Arya still angry as Takashi asks where he can sell his monster materials. Nomi helpfully suggests the guild or a tool shop, asking if Takashi has something he wants to sell. With a bright smile, Takashi enthusiastically confirms that he does indeed have items to sell. Both Nomi and Arya react with shock, pointing at his hand and exclaiming his name. Takashi calmly explains that he is summoning his inventory skill. The entire group, including Matteo and Levon, screams in utter disbelief at the mention of inventory. He clarifies that he received an inventory ring, which allows him to now use the powerful skill. Levan, his expression grave, notes that inventory is an incredibly high-level skill for an adventurer. Showing the small ring on his finger, Takashi explains it's a rare drop from a mimic monster. Arya reveals the ring's staggering market value is over 100 million gold. When asked who gave it to him, Takashi admits it was from Ellen, the demon who took him. Arya gets in his face, furiously questioning the meaning behind receiving such a valuable gift. Matteo de-escalates the situation, saying they can interrogate him later as Arya sulks. With a pout, Nomi recommends Baruria's tool shop as the place to sell their materials. Takashi asks Arya to take him, and she reluctantly agrees, telling him to follow her. As they walk away, Arya stops him, saying there is one more thing she needs to tell him. Leaning in close, she whispers a stern warning that he should keep his inventory skill a secret. He agrees, and they arrive at the Baruria tool shop, the sound of coins jingling. The sale of their monster parts nets them a heavy pouch containing 100,000 gold. To thank her and apologize for his moodiness, Takashi offers to treat Arya to lunch. Arya's face lights up with pure joy, and she happily accepts his invitation. The two of them enjoy a meal together inside a bustling, lively tavern. Their table is filled with two large, delicious-looking plates of pasta. Arya takes a bite of her food. A young man in a hoodie enjoys a large bite of pasta. A tough-looking man discusses a lucrative quest while a woman listens in. The young man thoughtfully recalls that Nomi wanted to go to that destination. A wealthy merchant explains the need for adventurers for a trip to Arlvu. An adventurer recounts a mission to cross the Black Forest, a 4-day journey filled with powerful level 40 monsters. Levon, a mohawked companion, expresses disbelief at the danger, saying they don't have enough lives to spare for such a quest. A female adventurer tells Takashi to give up, insisting that the mission is impossible for him. A young woman's face, wide with shock, reacts to the daunting news of the mission. Takashi realizes this dangerous quest aligns perfectly with Nomi's wishes and his own Earth-based schedule. A guild poster urgently seeks escorts to the Arvu Divine Tree Kingdom, offering a 2 million G reward. Levin asks Takashi if he truly wants to accept the quest, worried about the Black Forest route. Nearby, another group of adventurers scoffs at the idea, calling the Black Forest a hellish place to be avoided. A long-haired, arrogant adventurer spots Arya and smugly refers to her as his beloved. The man Kais approaches with his entourage, theatrically declaring their meeting to be a fateful one. Kais asks if they're heading to Arvu, but an annoyed Arya snaps back that it's none of his business. Takashi watches the confrontation with a determined and slightly irritated expression. Kais grabs Takashi's arm, declaring Arya is his treasure, and he won't let a level 1 man take her away. With surprising speed, Takashi seizes Kais's wrist, stopping his aggressive advance. Kais's eye widens in shock and anger at Takashi's unexpected defiance. One of Kais's followers looks on, wondering what this level 1 boy thinks he is doing. Takashi stands firm, calmly telling Kais that Arya clearly dislikes his behavior. The bear man Levin roars from the side, demanding that they stop fighting. Takashi locks eyes with Kais and proposes they borrow the guild's training grounds to settle their dispute. In the arena, Kais grandly announces he will accept the challenge, declaring he will lose if Takashi lands even one blow. Onlookers murmur amongst themselves, wondering what's about to happen as Kais prepares to discipline a level 1 rookie. Kais' female companions cheer enthusiastically, urging him to beat the challenger soundly. Takashi stands ready, thinking to himself that this will all be over with a single strike. Kais points a finger, boasting that as a level 41 adventurer, he is the strongest in town. The fight begins with a flurry of comical strikes as Kais thinks about landing one good hit. A large gong is struck, signaling the official start of their duel. The two opponents face each other in the training ring, ready for combat. From the sidelines, a worried Arya watches the scene, whispering Takashi's name. Takashi effortlessly parries Kais' sword strike, much to his opponent's surprise. Kais grows agitated, snarling that he will graciously only strike Takashi's chest. Takashi easily leaps over a low, sweeping attack aimed at his legs. He feels a flash of annoyance at being momentarily caught off guard by his opponent. Kais condescendingly praises Takashi's skill and offers him a chance to land a free hit. Frustrated, Kais condescendingly offers his opponent a free hit, daring him to strike. Kais flashes a condescending grin, mockingly asking Takashi if he's scared of him. With a weary look, Takashi thinks to himself that this has become a real nuisance. His expression hardening, Takashi shouts that, if that's how it's going to be, then fine. He lunges forward and Kais encourages his fighting spirit, telling him to keep it up. Takashi easily parries a strike, prompting Kais to remark that it was a close call. Growing frustrated, Kais announces he will now give a personal lesson in swordsmanship. Takashi's eyes narrow in focus as he senses an opening is about to appear. From the crowd, Kais' followers shout in a panic, worried their leader will be killed. Kais demonstrates what he calls a proper strike, his blade clashing powerfully with Takashi's. Deciding he's had enough, Takashi resolves to end the tiresome fight with a single blow. He executes a feint, ducking under Kais' guard to create a vulnerability in his defense. Their swords lock in a bright flash of steel as the feint succeeds perfectly. With a solid crunch, Takashi's fist connects with Kais' jaw, who reels back in shock. A female follower cries out in horror, exclaiming that the great Kais has been wounded. Clutching his sword, Kais mutters in disbelief, insisting the hit was just a fluke. He grits his teeth in humiliation, furious that his opponent managed to strike him. One of Kais' men shouts in outrage that the brat actually landed a clean hit. Takashi presses his advantage, his sword poised to deliver another devastating attack. A glint of determination shines in his eyes, his expression focused and utterly serious. He swings his blade with incredible force, aiming to end the duel once and for all. Coldly, Takashi reminds his opponent of the promise he made at the start of the fight. He declares that one blow is all it takes, putting his full weight into the strike. The impact sends Kais flying backward, crashing through and shattering the wooden arena fence. Kais' female companions gasp, murmuring their leader's name in utter disbelief. While Kais lies defeated on the ground, Takashi and his friends look on. A slow, deliberate clapping sound breaks the stunned silence of the onlooking crowd. A well-dressed man praises Takashi's skill and requests his services for a journey. Takashi, Arya, and Lavan stare in utter shock at the sudden, lucrative offer. The man introduces himself as Dalm, a merchant, presenting his official permit as proof. Takashi shakes Dalm's hand, sealing the agreement for the important escort mission. Arya tells Takashi they will need to buy various supplies for their long journey. Takashi agrees, noting that they'll need many things for the expedition ahead. He remembers that he was planning to sell the magic stone he had recently acquired. At the Bereria item shop, coins clink as they complete their transaction. A large pouch of gold sits on the counter, the result of selling the stone for 550,000 G. At a blacksmith's forge, a glowing piece of metal is hammered on an anvil. The smith holds the hot metal with tongs, preparing to shape it into a weapon. The bald mustachioed blacksmith welcomes them into his shop with a gruff greeting. Takashi stands newly outfitted in impressive armor, the total cost being 670,000 G. A detailed view shows his new steel sword and silver gauntlets, along with their stats. Arya leans in close, curiously asking Takashi what his current level is now. He hesitates, knowing he cannot possibly reveal his true level of 56 to her. Sheepishly, he claims to be level 35, marveling that he beat the level 41 Kais. Arya gasps, her hand flying to her mouth in utter shock at his rapid growth. She exclaims that his level is rising far too fast for her to ever catch up. Takashi tells Arya that since she is more experienced, he wants her to teach him. Her face flushes a deep red as she stammers at the thought of being by his side. She gets lost in a blissful daydream, while Takashi looks on, completely confused. The remnants of Nomi's farewell party litter a table as the innkeeper cleans up. Outside the large rampaging giant inn, the elf girl Nomi peeks around a corner. She knocks on a door, politely asking for permission to enter the room. Dressed in a maid's outfit, she approaches Takashi, wanting to thank him properly. Takashi dismisses her gratitude, but she insists it's because he saved her from bandits. With a serious look, she makes a bold and unusual request to see his status. Takashi is surprised, noting that Ellen had made the very same strange request. He asks Nomi why she wants to see his status, his expression filled with curiosity. She explains that there is something she needs to confirm before she can say more. Takashi asks if she has the insight skill, just like Ellen, for the same reason. Nomi promises to explain her reasoning after she has confirmed what she needs to. Takashi narrows his eyes, reluctantly agreeing to her mysterious and insistent request. With a soft chime, he calls forth his status window for her to see. The screen displays his details, level 56 with abnormally high stat bonuses. Nomi's eye widens in shock as she reads the unbelievable information on the screen. She whispers that it's just as she thought, while Takashi looks on, puzzled. Thanking him, she dismisses the window and asks him what he saw in her reaction. Her expression grave, she addresses him formally, preparing to reveal a great truth. Suddenly, the horned demon woman Ellen materializes between them, startling Takashi. Ellen looks down at Nomi, contemptuously identifying her as the Maiden of Light. Nomi glares back, her own face contorted with fury, recognizing the successor to the darkness. A tense silence falls as the two powerful beings face off against each other. Nomi shouts for the demon woman to leave at once, unleashing a magical attack. Ellen notes that the Maiden of Light has also found Takashi, as if she expected it. She dismisses Nomi's attack as insignificant, her hand glowing with her own immense power. The magical chains shatter around Ellen, who declares that she cannot be bound. Nomi, pointing at Ellen, reveals her true identity to a confused Takashi, the demon lord Ereshkigal. Ellen calmly places a finger to her lips, denying that she is Ereshkigal. Nomi insists that Takashi must not believe the lies of the demon woman. Takashi throws his hands up, pleading for them both to wait and stop fighting. Nomi declares she won't fight the demon lord, but insists Takashi is the world's only hope. She prepares to unleash another powerful spell, her hands glowing with bright energy. Takashi jumps between them, arms outstretched, shouting for them to wait and calm down. He physically separates them, telling Elaine to sit and guiding Nomi to a seat. Taking charge, he asks Nomi to first tell him about this demon lord. Nomi closes her eyes for a moment before quietly agreeing to explain the legend. She recounts the tale of 500 years ago, when Ereshkigal tried to conquer the world. In response, the creator god Ishutal summoned a hero from another world to fight back. The hero grew strong at a terrifying rate and succeeded in sealing the demon lord. However, to complete the powerful seal, the hero had to burn his own life force away. Takashi asks Ellen if she is that demon lord, resurrected after the seal broke. Ellen, looking somber, once again states that she is not the demon lord. A spark of dark energy flashes between the two women, startling Takashi and Nomi. Nomi explains that Ellen's revival is incomplete and the seal is still trying to recapture her. Ellen looks flustered, admitting that she is not aiming for a full revival. Takashi smiles, trying to lighten the mood between the two tense, powerful women. He asks Nomi why she even suspected Ellen was the demon lord Ereshkigal. Nomi describes the true demon lord, a woman with lacquered black hair and heterochromatic eyes. Takashi furrows his brow, thinking that those features are not enough to be certain. Nomi clarifies that black hair is almost non-existent among demons, and heterochromia is unique to the demon lord. She explains that she knows this because she received a divine revelation from Ishutal. In a vision, Ishutal warns that darkness is once again covering the world as a new hero has descended. Nomi points dramatically at Takashi, declaring he is the summoned hero meant to fight the returning demon lord, Ereshkigal. Utterly flabbergasted, Takashi shouts in disbelief, finding it impossible that a mere F-rank like him could be the hero. Nomi explains she confirmed his identity when she previously appraised his status. She reveals that only the fabled hero possesses the unique ability to travel between different worlds. Furthermore, she points out his abnormally high growth rate is another clear characteristic of the hero. A memory surfaces of a beautiful woman offering him a chance, but with a price attached. Takashi recalls the voice of the god Ishutal, who offered this chance in exchange for saving this world. He asked Nomi to explain what she means by divine revelation. With regal poise, she introduces herself as Nomi Arlu, the third princess of the Arlvu Divine Tree Kingdom and the Maiden of Light. She states that, as the Maiden of Light, it is her duty to guide Takashi, the hero, to her kingdom. The gravity of her identity sinks in for Takashi, who realizes she is an incredibly important person. He asks how she was captured by bandits, recalling that her sister had told him something. Nomi explains she has a twin sister who was not chosen for the throne, lacking the aptitude to be the Maiden of Light. Takashi connects the dots, realizing her resentful twin must have orchestrated the kidnapping and is tied to a recent assassination attempt. She apologizes for not telling him sooner, and he thanks her for sharing the truth. Nomi insists that he must level up quickly and defeat the darkness. The horned girl Ellen appears, curtly asking if their conversation is over. Ellen grabs Takashi's arm, intending to leave with him immediately. Nomi quickly intervenes, taking Takashi's other arm to stop them. She confronts Ellen, stating the hero must now choose to side with her or be defeated. Ellen places a finger to her lips, suggesting they must stop Takashi from leveling up further. Nomi glares, accusing Ellen of trying to prevent his growth. The conflicting statements leave Nomi completely bewildered. Both Takashi and Ellen are equally stunned by the contradictory goals. Nomi, covering her mouth in confusion, asks what Ellen is plotting. Ellen insists she is not the Demon Lord and that Takashi's current level 56 is still insufficient. Takashi, caught in the middle, asks if Ellen is truly helping him level up. Nomi mutters in frustration, trying to make sense of the situation. With new resolve, she declares she will personally accompany Takashi to ensure he levels up. Her sudden decision leaves both Takashi and Ellen completely shocked. Despite the strange circumstances, Takashi accepts the bizarre new arrangement, and the trio sets off. In a flash of light, they are teleported to a new location. They arrive before a colossal, ancient ruin overgrown with massive, gnarled roots. Ellen confirms that this is a place the Maiden of Light knows well. Nomi recognizes it as the 45th floor within the Divine Tree, where the god Ishtal resides. Takashi recalls hearing that the Divine Tree is a massive dungeon with over 110 floors. Nomi questions how Ellen, who is not the hero, can teleport them within the sacred tree. The argument resumes, with Ellen stating he can't reach the 110th floor without leveling up. Nomi is aghast at the idea of him ascending to the top. Ellen gravely warns that the moment the hero meets Ishtal on the 110th floor, he will be destroyed. She declares that she will not be destroyed, while Takashi finds their opposing goals strangely aligned. Takashi suggests Ellen could just teleport him directly to the 110th floor. Ellen explains that the floors above the 80th are sealed, and she cannot bypass the barrier. Nomi points to a diagram showing that a powerful gatekeeper monster blocks all adventurers on the 80th floor. The diagram shows formidable monsters guarding the upper levels, including a giant cobra on floor 80. Takashi realizes that this means they are already within the Arlvu Divine Tree Kingdom. He asks if they can just leave and reach the kingdom first, but Nomi insists they cannot. Ellen alerts them that the darkness is summoning its kin, the walking vines, and they must fight. The ruins begin to crumble as the monstrous plants erupt from the ground. Takashi prepares for battle, calling upon his magical inventory. Nomi bestows a divine blessing upon Takashi as he dons his masked assassin gear. Ellen shouts a warning as a horde of bulbous, tentacled monsters emerges. The two women watch with alarm as the creatures swarm towards them. With a single fluid strike, Takashi slices cleanly through one of the powerful monsters. He is surprised that a walking vine, which once gave him trouble, was defeated in one blow. He leaps high into the air, poising for a devastating attack on the horde below. In a whirlwind of motion, he carves through the swarm of plant-like creatures. With an explosive blast from his gauntlet, he continues his relentless assault. He stands with his arms outstretched, a whirlwind of death amidst the defeated monsters. The battle over, the ruins are filled with the silent, broken husks of the entire swarm. From a safe distance, Nomi and Ellen can only whisper in awe at his power. Takashi stands panting amidst the dissolving remains of the monsters he just annihilated. The exertion finally catches up to him, and he stumbles, utterly exhausted. Nomi and Ellen rush to his side as he collapses, his soul seemingly leaving his body. Nomi declares that as long as she is with him, the darkness will not allow him to be harmed. Ellen observes that it was Nomi's powerful holy arts that caused Takashi's stamina to drain so rapidly. A status screen appears, showing his new standing. Nakamura Takashi, level 57 with immense stat boosts. The three of them look at a screen, noting that he has only gained one level. Nomi announces she will collect the dropped items while stretching with satisfaction. Exhausted, Takashi tells them he's done for the day and asks Ellen to teleport them to an inn. Ellen agrees, understanding he has leveled up and needs rest. With another flash of light, they are transported away from the dungeon. They materialize in a simple inn room, the journey having taken its toll. Ellen smiles, bidding them farewell until the next day. As Ellen leaves, Nomi places a gentle hand on Takashi's back. Nomi agrees to his request with a simple, "Yes, Takashi-sama." Takashi tells Nomi they should get some sleep for their early start the next day. He glances down, a questioning look on his face. He stammers, telling Nomi he's going to bed now. Nomi offers him a bright, cheerful, "Good night, Takashi-sama." He hesitates, admitting he needs to change his clothes first. With a kind smile, Nomi tells him not to mind her at all. She states that she will stand guard over him all through the night. She sits primly on the edge of his bed, waiting patiently. Takashi, flustered, tells her he won't be able to relax with her sitting there. With a serene smile, Nomi offers to heal his fatigue with her power. She begins to chant a lullaby in a strange, melodic, magical language. Her eyes are closed in deep concentration as the incantation continues. The magical words fade as she finishes her song. Suddenly, a violent, rhythmic banging shakes the room's wooden door. The door bursts open, and Arya peeks in with a cheerful, "Good morning, Takashi!" Her smile vanishes, replaced by a look of pure, horrified fury at the scene before her. She grabs Takashi, who is in bed with a scantily clad Nomi. She screams, demanding to know what is going on. The commotion brings the innkeeper, Dom, running, asking what happened as Arya shakes Takashi furiously. Arya and Dom stare at the bed, where Takashi tries to explain while Nomi sleeps soundly. Takashi rubs his eyes, still dazed from being woken so abruptly. He shouts in protest as Arya continues her tirade. Arya storms out in a huff, fuming that she had trusted him, leaving the innkeeper bewildered. The next morning, a group of adventurers stands ready with horse-drawn wagons, preparing to depart. A young adventurer named Takashi introduces the stoic elf girl, Nomi, to a pouting Arya. Suddenly, a figure in dark armor rushes past them, startling both Takashi and Nomi. Nomi holds back an enraged Takashi, apologizing to the armored man for his rudeness. The man Kais smirks, introducing himself as the town's strongest adventurer and guaranteeing their safety. Takashi is completely shocked, questioning why his arrogant rival Kais is suddenly here. Their merchant guide Dom explains that he personally hired Kais for extra protection. Another adventurer expresses his unease, feeling insecure with Kais' sudden inclusion in their party. With a wave of his hand, Kais condescendingly tells the group not to slow him down. Kais stands proudly, flanked by his own formidable party of beautiful female warriors. A frustrated Arya confronts Dom, demanding to know why he hired Kais and his entourage. She insists her concern isn't about their pay, but about the unexpected change of plans. To keep the peace, Dom decides the two conflicting parties will ride in separate wagons. Dom grandly announces their departure as the caravan rolls out from under a stone archway. The plan for their first day is to travel to Genda village near the Black Forest. On the second day, they will venture into the forest itself and camp at a safe spot. Their third day's journey will take them through the forest to the town of Ust. The 4-day journey to the Arl Divine Tree Kingdom officially begins, despite unexpected complications. A title page marks the beginning of a new chapter, titled Light and Darkness. The caravan travels smoothly, with a special magic spell dampening the rough road's vibrations. A glowing magic circle materializes beneath the wagon wheel, showing the enchantment at work. Along the path, Kais dispatches some weak baby lizards with theatrical and excessive force. Their caravan arrives safely in the rustic wooden settlement of Genda village. At the inn that evening, Dom leads the entire group in a celebratory toast. After the boisterous feast, a pile of empty dishes marks the end of their meal. In the hallway, Arya and Nomi wish Takashi a good night as he heads to his room. Takashi's hand closes around the knob, opening the door to his room for the night. Inside, the horned girl Ellen is casually lounging on his bed, welcoming him back. He stares in utter disbelief, reflexively stammering that he is home. His shock quickly turns to anger as he demands to know why Ellen is in his room. The sound of someone rushing down the hallway interrupts their tense confrontation. Nomi bursts into the room, declaring that the ruler of darkness has finally appeared. She throws her arms out protectively in front of Takashi, vowing to defend him. A bewildered Takashi wonders how Nomi could have possibly known Ellen would be there. With a serious gaze, the elf girl Nomi explains she is constantly watching over Takashi. Takashi is instantly flustered, realizing this means he is under 24/7 surveillance. The horned girl, Ellen, is also taken aback by this intense level of monitoring. She clarifies that her own watch is for crisis management, not for his private moments. Nomi smugly teases Ellen, remarking she never knew the Maiden of Light was a voyeur. Ellen counters, stating that with Nomi's spiritual support, they could fight a level 65 monster. Nomi's expression turns grave as she silently contemplates this challenging proposition. The trio stands amidst the crumbling pillars of the 57th floor of the Arlve Divine Tree. Takashi asks why they are here, and Nomi whispers her suspicion that Ellen is plotting something. With a prayer-like gesture, Nomi assures Takashi her divine protection will nullify all special attacks. A hulking level 57 Minotaur emerges from the shadows, brandishing a massive axe. Nomi quickly warns that the creature's roar instills a paralyzing fear in its victims. The Minotaur throws its head back and unleashes a deafening roar that shakes the dungeon. As the sound wave hits, Takashi stands his ground, protected by a shimmering barrier. A system notification confirms that the fear effect from the roar has been nullified. He realizes that this is thanks to the powerful protective blessing Nomi cast upon him. With a powerful leap, Takashi easily dodges the Minotaur's devastating axe swing. He uses the monster's weapon as a springboard, launching himself into the air. In a blur of motion, he closes the distance to the creature's exposed chest. He lands a clean, deep slash across the Minotaur's torso with his dagger. A system message confirms the centipede's fang has successfully paralyzed the monster for 80 seconds. With his foe helpless, Takashi unleashes a furious barrage of attacks as the timer counts down. He delivers a final, decisive blow, finishing off the incapacitated beast. The spoils of victory materialize: a C-rank magic stone and a mysterious black skill book. Nomi asks if he is all right, and he confirms it, thanking her for the life-saving assistance. Ellen asks what the black card is, and Takashi identifies it as a skill book. He shows them how to activate it by pressing his finger against the glowing sigil. A holographic prompt appears, asking if he wishes to acquire the intimidation skill. He accepts, learning that the skill can inflict fear on those who hear his voice. Nomi stares in utter disbelief, explaining that skill books do not exist in this world. She apologizes, admitting she cannot explain how such a thing is possible. Takashi's status screen reveals his growing list of unique skills, including his new acquisition. Both Ellen and Nomi are stunned, with Ellen noting that acquiring skills is normally impossible. The masked Takashi recalls Nomi's story and asks if the legendary hero could also acquire new skills. Ellen wonders if that's a problem, while Nomi thinks it's a welcome development. With a mischievous smile, Ellen declares she will bring 2 monsters for him next time. A grotesque level 57 Medusa and a serpentine-horned level 57 Delpune appear in the ruins. Nomi warns Takashi about the Medusa's petrifying gaze and the Delpune's venom. She reassures him that her protection will hold, but he must still be careful. With a determined look, Takashi resolves to test his newly acquired intimidation skill. The Medusa lunges forward as a system notification confirms his intimidation attempt has failed. A close-up on the system message shows the skill, intimidation, was resisted. His first plan thwarted, Takashi decides to paralyze the beast with his centipede's fang dagger. Nomi's eyes widen with alarm as she spots a new, immediate threat to Takashi. She cries out his name, desperately warning him of the danger to his side. Takashi is struck by a coordinated attack from both the Delpune and the Medusa. He staggers back, barely blocking the powerful, simultaneous blows from the 2 monsters. From a distance, Ellen shouts for Takashi to remove his mask and use his intimidation skill. Understanding her command, he rips the mask from his face with a determined cry. He unleashes his skill with a powerful shout, his eyes blazing with unleashed energy. The Delpune's eyes widen in absolute terror as the skill hits her with full force. A 40-second timer appears, leaving Takashi confused about how terror differs from paralysis. Ellen explains that the panicked Delpune is now attempting to paralyze her ally, the Medusa. Delpune places her hands on the Medusa's head, her petrification ability activating. The Medusa's single eye widens in a silent, horrified scream as it is betrayed. In the chaos, Takashi is caught by the Medusa's gaze, his body momentarily seizing up. A close-up shows his eye reflecting the glow of the petrifying attack. A system message confirms he has nullified the paralysis, and he quickly regains his footing. With a grimace of pure determination, he prepares to launch a counterattack. He leaps high into the air, soaring directly over the head of the massive monster. Landing deftly on the Medusa's skull, he plunges his weapon deep into its flesh. A system message confirms the centipede's fang has successfully paralyzed the Medusa. With 80 seconds on the clock, he prepares to deliver the final, decisive blow. The Delpune recovers from her fear and sinks her fangs deep into Takashi's shoulder. The force of her venomous bite knocks his weapon from his hand. He reels from the attack as a system message confirms he has been poisoned. The shocked young man holds a circular artifact as a notification confirms the poison's purification. A vicious snake from the Medusa's head sinks its fangs into Takashi's arm. He stumbles back, realizing that Nomi's divine protection has its limits. Reacting quickly, he pulls out a vial containing the dew of the divine tree. With no time to waste, he pours the glowing liquid over the wound. The injury vanishes in a brilliant flash of magical light, healing him completely. His strength restored, he lunges forward, slicing his blade across Delphine's throat. In the same motion, he drives his other dagger deep into the Medusa's head. The blade shatters the monster's skull, ending its life with a decisive blow. System notifications confirm the defeat of both monsters, listing his massive rewards. His companions rush to his side, with Nomi asking if he is all right. The spoils of battle materialize: a Delphine scale and a strange Medusa sculpture. Ellen asks if he leveled up from the fight, but he confirms he has not yet. With grim determination, Ellen announces they will immediately find their next opponent. A flashback reveals the grueling, non-stop battle he fought against a Minotaur. He had battled relentlessly through the night, pushing himself to finally reach level 58. In the present, his companions marvel at his new level and impressive 580 horsepower. Takashi examines the Medusa sculpture, noting that it doesn't seem to be equipment. Ellen clarifies that it is a single-use, scroll-like item for paralyzing an opponent. She explains it can immobilize any enemy under level 50 for a full minute. Takashi asks Ellen about the effects of the powerful binder of darkness he possesses. A look of understanding dawns on Nomi's face, realizing why he pushed himself. Takashi looks down, reflecting on his past weaknesses and his need to grow stronger. His mind flashes to his past as a belittled F-rank adventurer. Nomi understands that he felt he had no choice but to face the danger alone. He turns to Ellen, offering his sincere gratitude for all her help. He acknowledges that without her, he would have died before ever meeting Nomi. Nomi listens intently, her expression softening with empathy. He explains that the powerful armor Ellen provided has saved his life many times. He admits frankly that he would have surely perished without her early intervention. Nomi silently processes his words, her gaze steady and thoughtful. He thanks Ellen again, telling her he has become stronger because of her. Turning to Nomi, he thanks her for the many times her divine protection saved him. He confesses that he had been leveling up aimlessly, simply following Ellen's lead. Addressing them both, he declares that from this point forward, they will all cooperate. Ellen and Nomi exchange a look of grim, unified resolve. With newfound purpose, he clenches his fist and vows to reach the 110th floor. An inventory screen displays their massive haul of monster parts and magic stones. He is stunned to calculate that their earnings are worth over 16 million yen. He asks Ellen if he can borrow a centipede's fang and a delphine's scale. He explains his intention is to have them crafted into new, powerful equipment. As the girls prepare to leave, he asks them to wait for a moment. His mind flashes back to the awkwardness of waking up in bed with Nomi. Arya cheerfully explains that she sang him a lullaby to ensure he rested well. He is horrified by the implication that she was watching him while he slept. Arya sticks her tongue out playfully, calling him a scary girl as Ellen glares. The girls decide to leave, taking his hand to lead him from the room. As they depart, Takashi hopes he can finally look forward to a peaceful morning. The next day, he wanders through the town, wondering if Arya is awake yet. Inside her room, Arya is seen getting dressed in a new, revealing outfit. She greets Takashi with a bright smile, her new hairstyle catching him by surprise. She notices his stare and asks if it's because she let her hair down. Blushing furiously, Takashi stammers that the new hairstyle suits her very well. By the carriages, he asks if Arya wants to try leveling up in the Black Forest. She expresses her doubt, knowing the monsters there are far beyond her level 10. With a reassuring smile, Takashi tells her that he will help her. He reveals his trump card, a case filled with the powerful Medusa sculptures. Arya is shocked, pointing out how high-grade and unsettling the items are. The power of the Medusa sculpture is recalled. It paralyzes enemies for 60 seconds. He explains that with these, they can escape any dangerous situation they encounter. The caravan enters the Black Forest, their mission to level up Arya officially underway. Nomi issues a stern warning, telling Takashi to stop acting like a couple with Arya. Scouting ahead, Takashi and Arya are observed, with Arya noting his demonic robe. She points out that his robe is identical to the one worn by the demon girl. He explains that Ellen gave him the gear, confirming it's his first time wearing it. Arya puffs her cheeks out, annoyed that he has become so close with the demon. A massive level 39 grizzly confronts them, but Kais tells Arya to leave it to him. With a focused shout, he prepares to unleash his powerful intimidation skill. The skill activates, terrifying the grizzly and paralyzing it for 2 full minutes. Arya is stunned, asking what happened. He explains he used his skill to immobilize it. As he engages another monster, he urgently tells Arya to attack the grizzly now. From a distance, he encourages her to attack the helpless bear with all her might. Her arrows strike true, riddling the massive beast and drawing blood. The grizzly collapses, its large body dissolving into particles of light. A triumphant chime sounds as Arya stands victoriously over the defeated monster. A system message confirms her victory and the massive amount of experience gain. She stares at her status screen in disbelief, realizing her level has gone up. She tells Takashi she jumped all the way to level 19, and he congratulates her. She reflects on how it took her 2 long years just to reach level 10. A montage shows them defeating a red wolf as Takashi explains his strategy. Another image depicts Arya felling another grizzly, highlighting her rapid progress. A status box proudly displays her new impressive standing. Arya, level 26. Takashi smiles, suggesting it's about time they return to the caravan. Arya marvels at how casually he used such an amazing and powerful skill. She closes her eyes, admitting she is no longer surprised by his incredible abilities. She thanks him sincerely, and he replies that her gratitude makes him happy too. Meanwhile, the rest of the party is shown fighting a fierce battle against wolves. Their own combat is a maelstrom of steel and magic against the snarling beasts. The other adventurers remark on how skilled Case's 2-person team is. The caravan continues its journey, venturing deeper into the dark, foreboding woods. That evening, they make camp, and an adventurer named Fitz boasts about his kill. He proudly displays 2 D-rank magic stones to his impressed companions. He then smugly reveals his own much larger haul of 13 D-rank magic stones. Fitz scoffs at their claim of defeating a level 40 monster by themselves. The caravan leader gathers the group to decide on the night's watch schedule. Fitz volunteers himself and an annoyed Takashi for watch duty. Arya quickly interjects, volunteering to stand guard as well. Fitz dramatically refuses, saying it's bad for her skin and calling her creepy. Takashi asks how they will decide the order for the night watch. The leader uses a spinner, with Kai's complaining that his shift will be the longest. Later, the leader informs Kai's that it is time for his watch to begin. 2 women are shown sleeping peacefully inside a tent, one resting her head near the other. In another part of the camp, a mustached man sleeps soundly, a dagger resting beside his head. 2 more of the female party members are seen sleeping soundly, huddled together for warmth. Outside, Takashi stands his solitary watch, the campfire crackling as he remains vigilant. He gazes up at the night sky, remarking to himself that even the constellations are different here. A nearby horse's eye widens in alarm, its ears twitching as it senses a disturbance. The campsite is quiet, with only the lone figure of Takashi standing guard by the fire. Noticing the horse's restlessness, Takashi wonders what has suddenly put them on edge. His attention is drawn to a faint splash from a nearby stream, a sound out of place in the night. He turns his head sharply, his senses on high alert from the unexpected noise. Without warning, an arrow strikes him from behind, piercing his armor with a solid thud. He clutches his side, crying out in agony from the sudden, sharp pain. Looking down at his hand, he is shocked to see it covered in his own dark blood. The arrow is shown embedded deeply in his side, the impact severe and life-threatening. He collapses to his knees, gasping for breath from the force of the devastating blow. His eyes widen in horror as he realizes he is under enemy attack. He coughs up a spray of blood, his body beginning to fail him completely. Falling backwards onto the ground, he lies limp and helpless from the grievous wound. His vision blurs as he realizes, with dawning terror, that he can no longer breathe. With the last of his strength, he reaches out a hand, unable to call for help. In his dying moments, he mentally activates his isekai transfer skill as a last resort. He materializes with a crash on the floor of his modern kitchen, a world away from the danger. His mind focuses, selecting inventory and fruit of the world tree from his skill menu. With a blood-soaked hand, he summons a glowing, ornate potion from his inventory. He quickly uncorks the vial, ready to drink the life-saving elixir that is his only hope. A miraculous wave of healing light washes over his body, instantly sealing the fatal wound. Gasping for air, he sits up, confirming with relief that he can breathe and move again. He clutches his chest, the memory of the ambush and the searing pain still fresh. With renewed urgency, he knows he must hurry back to protect his friends. He triggers his isekai transfer skill once more, preparing to return to the battle. Reappearing at the campsite in a flash of light, he finds his party has been awakened by the commotion. He rushes to Arya, grabbing her shoulders and frantically asking where Nomi has gone. He presses a small, glowing object into Arya's hand, telling her to use it for protection. As he runs off into the woods, Arya calls out, telling him to be careful. He races into the darkness, his mind consumed with the fear that Nomi has been abducted. A sudden system chime sounds in his mind, signaling an unexpected change. A notification confirms he has acquired the insight skill at this critical moment. His eyes glow with a new, strange power as he activates the skill. A previously invisible ninja-like assassin shimmers into view, a large sack over his shoulder. His expression hardening, Takashi demands to know the identity of the mysterious attacker. The assassin is shocked that Takashi can see him, remarking that the situation is interesting. Dropping the sack, the assassin draws his short sword, preparing to fight. Takashi recognizes the sack on the ground, questioning if Nomi is trapped inside. The assassin makes a swift, decisive hand gesture, initiating his attack. Takashi meets the charge, his own weapon ready, his eyes narrowed in focus. He lunges forward, his blade a blur as he engages the assassin in combat. Their weapons clash with incredible force, sending a shower of sparks into the night. The rest of the party arrives on the scene, shouting that someone is over there. The assassin gracefully deflects Takashi's attack, his dark cape whipping through the air. Kais and his companions arrive, finding the two masked figures locked in a deadly duel. Kais watches with a grim expression, wondering what Takashi is doing fighting alone. The assassin's eyes glint with fierce determination from behind his metal face guard. The assassin breaks off the fight and flees, with Takashi shouting for him to wait. With incredible agility, the assassin leaps over a tall wooden gate, making his escape. Takashi returns to his party, asking a worried Arya if she is all right. Arya carefully opens the discarded sack, revealing the captive Nomi inside. Nomi, though safe, keeps her head bowed, her expression hidden from view. Takashi, his face bruised and bloody, looks down at the quiet elf and calls her name. He approaches her to check on her, but the party leader, Kais, looms over them. Kais stands with an air of authority, his hand on his hip, ready to pass judgment. With a smug sneer, he asks Takashi why he abandoned his post during the watch. Takashi furiously retorts that he didn't just let the enemy get away. Enraged, Kais slaps him across the face with a powerful, punishing backhand. Standing over the fallen Takashi, Kais berates him for his failure and their current predicament. Takashi lies on the ground, stunned by the stinging blow and the weight of the accusation. Another party member furiously confronts Kais for not sharing information about the lookout. Takashi tries to explain that he used a potion to heal his wounds from the fight. One of the women scoffs, expressing doubt that he could afford such a powerful item. Another woman defends Takashi, insisting that she was with him during the chaos. The party stands fractured, with Takashi at the center of the tense conflict. Despite the support from his companions, Takashi remains silent, his head bowed in shame. He rises and bows deeply, taking full responsibility for the failure as the watchman. He thinks to himself that some things are simply too complicated to explain away. Kais and his female companions smirk, finding his straightforward apology convenient. Nomi finally looks up, a startled and worried expression on her face. Takashi notices her long silence, pointing to the collar and asking if she can't speak. He indicates the heavy metal collar locked tightly around her neck. He explains that it's a magical seal, likely unbreakable by the guild's mages. Kais draws his sword, ordering Nomi to hold perfectly still as he prepares to act. His expression is one of intense focus as he prepares to strike the enchanted collar. He brings his blade down hard, but the metal rings out, completely undamaged. The magical seal on the collar glows faintly, effortlessly repelling the powerful blow. Kais stares in disbelief, muttering that he couldn't even leave a scratch on it. Takashi steps forward, declaring he will try, much to Kais's disbelieving outrage. The party warns him that it's reckless and dangerous, but he stands firm. He confidently states that he has broken a similar seal before and has leveled up since. With a sharp cry, he unleashes his skill, striking the collar with a flash of light. His hand connects with the enchanted metal with a surge of incredible force. A brilliant, explosive flash of energy erupts from the point of impact. The heavy collar shatters into pieces, freeing Nomi from its silencing power. Kais's face contorts into a mask of comical, bug-eyed shock and disbelief. Nomi turns to Takashi with a blush, thanking him deeply for his help. Another female party member screams in outrage at their sudden closeness. She tries to pull Nomi away from Takashi, telling her to get away from him. Nomi explains that the assassin used a skill to turn her against her own allies. Kais is shocked to hear about the enemy's use of a powerful concealment skill. Nomi clarifies that it was Takashi who bravely repelled the attacker and saved them. Kais recalls the mysterious masked figure, realizing with a start it was Takashi all along. Nomi insists to Kais that Takashi is a truly good and trustworthy person. Takashi cheerfully tries to mediate, suggesting they all put the incident behind them. At the party's campsite, Arya suggests they get some rest, and Takashi agrees. The campfire crackles, its flames leaping high into the darkness of the forest. Takashi remains on watch, thinking he must stay vigilant for another potential attack. Despite his resolve, the long night wears on him, and he begins to doze off. A sudden noise startles him awake, and he admonishes himself for his carelessness. His eyes widen as he spots a figure peering from behind a tree. Takashi calls out into the night, demanding to know who is there. The horned woman, Ellen, emerges, greeting him and asking what has happened. She presents him with an ornate dagger, explaining it's a weapon she forged. Ellen details how she enhanced its paralytic and poisonous effects, impressing Takashi. She recalls seeing the Maiden of Light cornered by an assailant the previous night. Takashi asks if Ellen was watching the fight, curious about her presence. He wonders how she identified the Beastman attacker through his dark disguise. Ellen cryptically states that she can tell these things just by looking. She places a finger to her lips, indicating a secret she cannot share. Takashi proudly declares that he was a great help in that difficult fight. A sleepy Arya peeks from her tent, asking a confused Takashi who he's talking to. He quickly covers, telling Arya they will depart right after breakfast. The next day, the party's caravan of covered wagons rumbles along a rough road. Riding a lead horse, Takashi senses an imminent monster attack and pulls on the reins. The party disembarks, with Kai's complaining about the frequent monster encounters. The merchant Dom agrees, noting the unusual number of monsters in the Black Forest. Nomi scouts ahead, reporting a large number of monsters with a worried expression. She confirms that the situation feels strange and unnatural. Takashi decides to investigate the disturbance, and Arya insists on accompanying him. They discover a disciplined army of lizardmen led by a formidable, armored commander. Watching from a distance, Kai scoffs at the idea of monsters acting with such organization. Takashi is also stunned to see the creatures communicating and acting like soldiers. He notices Arya is trembling uncontrollably and asks if she is all right. Overwhelmed by the sheer number of enemies, Arya urges Takashi to run. Takashi's expression hardens as he considers Arya's fear of the monsters. He reassures her he will protect her, planning to use a Medusa sculpture if needed. Preparing for battle, Takashi asks Nomi to cast a divine protection spell on him. With a serious expression, the elf-like Nomi confirms she understands the situation. An armored platoon of lizardmen stands ready, their leader gutturally commanding them to annihilate everyone. The party leader, Kai, asks his mage if her spell is ready, while another member states they'll be fine if they defeat the leader. Raising her crystalline staff, the blonde mage chants an incantation for her Ice Shards spell. A volley of sharp ice projectiles materializes, hurtling towards the enemy horde. The mage stands confidently, having unleashed her powerful ice-based attack. Kais braces for a counterattack, raising his shield with a determined cry. A lizardman mage retaliates, conjuring a swirling ball of dark, destructive energy. The dark energy spell flies across the battlefield towards the adventuring party. The two spells collide in a massive, fiery explosion, neutralizing the attack completely. Kai stares in utter shock, his eyes wide with disbelief that their spell was nullified. With devastating speed, the lizardman leader charges forward and slams into Kai's. The powerful blow connects, sending Kai's head snapping back from the force. He lands in a crumpled heap, coughing up blood, defeated and out of the fight. The blonde mage cries out his name, desperately calling for a healer to save him. She is suddenly pinned down by a volley of arrows, unable to move. A lizardman archer taunts her as he takes aim with another arrow. The lizardman leader brutally strikes down another of the party's male warriors. The goggled brawler grits her teeth, declaring it is her turn to fight. The enemy mage unleashes a torrent of fire directly at the brawler. A figure is engulfed in the fiery blast, letting out a scream of agony. It is revealed to be Takashi in disguise, who complains about the intense heat. The lizardman leader looks on, its eye narrowed, sensing something is amiss. A closer view shows the leader's confusion, questioning what it just witnessed. Now revealed, Takashi becomes a blur of motion, dispatching two lizardmen with his daggers. The real brawler lies on the ground, scorched but alive as the flames dissipate. Takashi's hand glows as he activates a skill to petrify an enemy. He looks down at the real brawler, who is safe but injured from the blast. A powerful wave of intimidation is unleashed upon a lizardman fighter. Takashi tells the injured brawler to stay back and watch the fight unfold. As the lizardman is terrified, the blonde adventurer Arya falls and Takashi catches her. Looking down at her with surprise, he asks if she is all right. Dazed and blushing, Arya whispers her thanks for the timely rescue. Standing before the priestess, the hooded warrior declares it is time for some lizard hunting. Enraged, the lizard man leader bellows a command for his troops to kill the warrior. A line of lizard man archers takes aim, preparing to unleash a deadly volley of arrows. With a swift spin, Takashi uses his dark cloak to deflect the incoming projectiles. He closes the distance in an instant, cutting down an archer with a clean slash. From the rear, a lizardman wizard conjures a swirling vortex of destructive dark magic. Takashi effortlessly sidesteps the magical attack, which explodes harmlessly behind him. Appearing before the shocked wizard, he drives a bone-plated fist directly into its face. He then pivots, facing a new group of spear-wielding lizardman fighters rushing to attack. His blade becomes a blur as he parries a clumsy sword strike from his foe. With a powerful upward arc, his weapon bites deep into the creature's scaly torso. He finishes the job with a brutal, downward cleave, ending the fighter's life. As the lesser monsters fall, the royal lizardman leader steps forward, stating that's all it took. Takashi's head snaps up, his eyes widening in surprise at the leader's sudden appearance. The formidable leader reveals his hostage, the brawler Wakana, held in a one-armed grip. Wakana gasps in terror, her face a mask of pain as the creature's claws dig in. The royal lizardman sneers, threatening to kill his precious companion if he resists. With unnerving calm, Takashi's eyes narrow as he asks who gave the creature that information. A surviving lizardman warrior tries to rally his kin, but the tense standoff continues. In a flash, Takashi appears before the leader, grabbing the arm that holds Wakana. He commands the stunned creature not to move, his voice dangerously low and steady. A system notification reveals the leader is terrified, with only 60 seconds of the effect remaining. The royal lizardman's eye is wide with a fear it can no longer suppress. Leaning in close, Takashi demands to know again who gave him the order to attack. The creature mutters that he cannot say, his confidence completely shattered by the warrior's power. With a final "I see," Takashi passes his cold, silent judgment upon the monster. A massive shadow blade materializes, slicing vertically through the royal lizardman's entire body. The creature, now bisected, begins to plead for help, asking who ordered the attack. Its face contorts in terror as it confesses it doesn't know who made the request. Takashi's eyes are cold and final as he accepts the creature's useless answer. The shadowy blade finishes its work, and the monster's body splits apart completely. A notification confirms the monumental kill and the vast experience points gained. A new prompt offers the Shadow Clone skill, which he immediately acquires. A warrior is thrown backward, while a woman desperately heals a fallen, cloaked figure below. Paralyzed by an unseen force, a lizardman fighter lets out a silent, terrified scream. Takashi carefully pours a healing potion into the mouth of his unconscious companion Kai's. The dazed but recovering Kai's is supported by her comrades as the potion takes effect. With intense focus, Takashi cradles his fallen friend's head while administering the life-saving aid. His eyes, sharp and full of worry, reveal the depth of his concern for her. Looking on, the other female adventurer is surprised by the scene unfolding before her. Now conscious, Kai sits up, surrounded and supported by her concerned party members. His duty fulfilled, Takashi collapses from sheer exhaustion, falling face first onto the rocky ground. Looking over the battlefield, the knight stares in awe at the dozens of slain lizardmen. He asks in disbelief if Takashi was the one responsible for this entire massacre. Face down, Takashi apologizes, admitting that he is completely unable to move for a while. The knight looks down at the hero, exasperatedly calling him a helpless but remarkable person. Carrying the unconscious Takashi, the knight leads the surviving women away from the battlefield. He reflects on Takashi's foresight, musing that an adventurer always thinks ahead to avoid deaths.